All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Riska. Can we please have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor?
Here.
Mrs. Sarowski?
Here.
Mrs. Koski?
Present.
Mr. Radke?
Present.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Yanez?
Here.
Mrs. Yurko?
Present.
Thank you, Council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item on our agenda is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have a number of presentations in my report this evening, but first let me begin by reminding everyone that the Sterling Heights Area Community Foundation and its scholarship sponsoring partners will award 21 scholarships totaling $34,000 to area-bound high school seniors and current college students living in Sterling Heights and Macomb County. So we want you all to take note of that. If you have kids that might be interested, you have another, a little over a week to apply. The applications must be postmarked by March 15th. And if you'd like more information, go to sterlingheights.gov to learn more about this. It's a pretty easy process, and we always have a lot of applications and look forward to working with the foundation to make the awards coming up in May. And Mayor and Council, you may recall that recently we had all of our boards and commissions come to City Council and give an update on all the good work they're doing. We have over 150 volunteers that participate in our government and help the mayor and council implement the good work of Sterling Heights. And one of those boards and commissions is our Sustainability Commission. The mayor and city council created the commission a number of years ago to implement, oversee, and provide leadership with our overall sustainability initiatives, which is really cutting edge for a city our size. We're really proud of the good work that the Sustainability Commission does. And we're lucky that every year they give us an update on their good work, and tonight is the night they do so. So I'd like to introduce Ryan Fox, who's going to make some introductory comments and then introduce the chair of the Sustainability Commission.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Kashubski, thank you very much for your time tonight. I have the distinct pleasure of serving as one of the liaisons for the Sustainability Commission. And as stated before, there are two responsibilities in which the Sustainability Commission has every year. One is sending the annual report, which has been forwarded on to Council, and the other is giving the annual presentation. And to give that presentation, I'm going to introduce Nathan Inks, Chairman of the committee, or Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Mr. Mayor, thank you and good evening to you, City Council, Mr. Vanderpool, Mr. Kashubski, and the rest of City Administration. As Mr. Fox said, we're here to give our annual review. The Commission recently passed on its annual report, which we adopted in January. This typically, in the past, has happened during the summer, but recently City Council amended the Sustainability Commission ordinance, moving our annual report timeframe and presentation to City Council toward the beginning of the year. That aligns with the calendar instead of going by the fiscal calendar, and allows us to give our presentation and annual report consistent with some of the other boards and commissions like the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. Another change that was made when the timeline was changed was City Council increased the commission from 5 members to 9 members. So we have, as holdovers from the 5-member commission, Mark Graff is still serving as our vice chair, Jonathan Matthews is still serving as secretary, Michael Tabbert and Riley Maher as members, and then our newest members, who are the members that were appointed when the commission was increased to 9 members, are Nikita Jones, Victoria Carlino, Matthew Smith, and Cheryl Burns. Another development that has happened since our last presentation was the creation of committees. We've established 6 committees. The first one is Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle, which we call the RCUTE Committee. Green Energy, which focuses on ways that the city can promote green energy, whether that's at the resident or business level or at the city level itself. Stormwater and Wetlands, which looks at the wetlands in the city, as well as stormwater and the impacts that it has, impacts that pollution can have on stormwater, as well as how the city is managing its stormwater system. The 3 new committees that we created are Native Plants, that looks at how we can promote native plants, both in what the city is planning, what developers are planning, and what residents are planning. MI Healthy Climate, which tracks the state MI Healthy Climate Plan and provides an update to the Sustainability Commission as updates come from the Department of Energy, Great Lakes, and Environment related to the MI Healthy Climate Plan. And the last committee is our Tree Committee, and that was pretty self-explanatory. That one focuses on trees throughout the city. Now we'll go through some of the accomplishments that the commission has had over the past year. First thing that we worked on was the impervious surface ordinance. We recommended approval of an impervious surface ordinance to City Council for adoption in February of 2023, and City Council ultimately adopted the impervious surface ordinance in September. That ordinance caps the amount of impervious surfaces that can be in the front portion of a residential lot at 45%. And this was intended to reduce stormwater runoff so that we're not having so much rainwater go into the stormwater system. And there's also an aesthetic aspect of the ordinance as well. Our next accomplishment was completing the tree survey. Davy Tree Company has been working on a tree survey that was completed over the winter of 2022 into 2023. They surveyed approximately 35,000 street and park trees. The initial contract with Davy was to do just trees in the right-of-way, and fortunately, the project came under budget, so there was money left over at the end of that. And so the leftover money was used to do a survey of parks throughout the city. And this was just portions of the parks that were heavily traveled. For example, in Dodge Park, they didn't do a detailed survey of the heavily wooded areas. After that, there was still some money left over, and that money has been allocated toward Tree Keeper software. City Council approved the software agreement last month for that, and that will provide the city with the ability to have a public dashboard that will show all park and right-of-way trees. Will show the ecological benefits of the park and right-of-way trees. And one of the very neat things about it is there's also a way that it can interact with the system that DPW and Parks and Rec use for their work orders for tree maintenance. So it will help them do tree maintenance and see what trees need to be pruned or removed if there's a diseased tree. In June of 2023, Sustainability Commission partnered with Parks and Rec for one of their Rec on the Run programs. This was our first of hopefully many collaborations with the Detroit Zoological Society. They donated about 50 saplings that we handed out to residents for them to plant on their property. And then we also had a educational art and craft aspect of the program for kids who wanted to come to the park. One of the big developments this year was the launch of the Think Sterling Green framework. This included a web page that launched in April of 2023. It also included the Go Green grants, which was grant funding for clean energy projects for residents throughout the city, along with the rollout of the new water meters. The Think Sterling Green launched a Water Smart app so that residents can track their water usage and detect leaks sooner so that they don't get hit with a large water bill and that they can conserve some water. Also included in Think Sterling Green was the Rain Barrel giveaway, which was a very successful event. We partnered with Michigan Rain Barrel to distribute 200 rain barrels in June. It was a very successful event, so successful that City Council decided to do another event in August. I was present at the August giveaway. It was a lot of fun. Michigan Rain Barrel is a very efficient partner, and it was amazing that we handed out the 200 rain barrels really without any problems. They ran very smoothly. More recently, in August of 2023, the Sustainability Commission recommended to City Council that the city join ICLEI, Local Government for Sustainability, and contract with ICLEI to perform a greenhouse gas inventory. Membership with ICLEI gets us access to a number of resources, including access to a cohort program that Office of Planning, who is the liaison for the Sustainability Commission, can participate in to learn about various sustainability developments throughout the country. Like I said, we're also partnering with ICLEI to perform a greenhouse gas inventory. They're performing both a community inventory and a government operations inventory that looks at just what the greenhouse gases that the city is emitting as part of its operations, as well as greenhouse gases by residents and the businesses at large. We are also in, we have applied for $1.8 million of funding for tree plantings. The Sustainability Commission participated in some of the grant writing for those. And the Native Plants Committee is also working on updating an approved tree list. Right now, the approved tree list for plantings of trees right now, the list of trees that are either approved or disapproved for planting throughout the city is in the city ordinances. So we're in the process of suggesting to remove that from the ordinance and make it something that is kept on file with City Development Department, so that if changes need to be made to the list of trees that are either approved or not approved to plant in the city, or the ordinance doesn't have to be amended, and that can just be done administratively. As part of this, the Native Plants Committee is going through and identifying native trees that should be included in the list of trees that can be planted in the right-of-ways. One of the big developments of the commission was working on the waste hauler RFP. The R-Cubed Committee, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Committee, took the lead on providing recommendations regarding the waste hauler RFPs, and ultimately City Council last year selected a new provider for our waste hauler. Finally, we have a few things that are coming up on the agenda for the commission. We are doing a comprehensive sustainability self-assessment looking at how the city scores on various metrics regarding sustainability. We're about halfway through that process and should finish that up in the next couple of months. The Green Energy Committee is working on proposed revisions to the zoning ordinance to specifically allow for solar panels throughout the city in various districts. So hopefully that will be something that will be recommended to City Council at some point in the future. And then finally, we're second to last, we're working on a climate action plan that will be included as part of the master plan update that the Planning Commission is undergoing this year. So Sustainability Commission will be involved with the master plan update, and as well, Giffords Webster, who is the contractor for the master plan update, in their RFP indicated that they would be looking at including a climate action plan in the master plan update that they provide to the Planning Commission, and that Planning Commission will ultimately recommend to City Council. And then finally, we have an Arbor Day event scheduled on April 27th. Again, we're looking to do a tree giveaway and to partner with a local organization for that to donate some trees. There will be an educational component of the Arbor Day event, and then a fun activity for kids and adults as well. So we'll have more information about that as we get closer, but that will be April 27th. With that, I want to thank you for your time and allowing us to come and present tonight. If you have any questions, I'm free to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Inks. Council, any questions? If we do, we know where to find you. So thank you. Mr. Vanderpool?
Thank you, Mayor. And continuing on, I wanted to remind everyone that you can join us on March 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Sterling Heights Community Center for an enlightening and transformative disability awareness workshop. We had something similar last year, and we had great turnout. The special event is designed to foster empathy, understanding, and kindness within our community by offering participants a unique opportunity to experience firsthand the challenges faced by individuals with disabilities in their daily lives. So again, for more information on this event, which is March 20th from 6 to 8 p.m., feel free to go to our website for more information. And Mayor, I'm excited to talk about the next topic as well. Often we talk about the importance of our large businesses in the city, and they are so very important to us. They employ tens of thousands of people all across the city, and they're responsible in large part for the robust local economy we have. Some of those businesses include General Dynamics Land Systems. Their headquarters is right here in Sterling Heights. Stellantis, with the Sterling Heights Assembly Plant producing the Ram 1500, a world-renowned vehicle. The Ford Transmission Facility, and also the Axle Facility, BAE, and the like. We have these major corporations that we're blessed to have in the city. But at the same time, while we spend a lot of time fostering their development and expansions and investments and so on, we also work hard at nurturing our small businesses, especially startup companies as well. And we have a collaboration center in Sterling Heights. You've heard me talk about it, called the Velocity Center. It's in partnership with the state of Michigan, Economic Development Corporation, Macomb County, the Small Business Administration, and many other agencies that help run the Velocity Collaboration Center, providing important tools and resources to small businesses to not only start them up, but to continue to accelerate their growth, and hopefully to a point where they then move on from the Velocity Collaboration Center into their own facilities, preferably here in Sterling Heights, but it could be anywhere in the county. These endeavors don't know municipal boundaries, but we're pleased to be a part of them right here in Sterling Heights and nurturing their growth. So I wanted to take a few minutes to highlight some startup companies at Velocity, and after that, I'm really excited to introduce a small business that has started up in Sterling Heights and really thriving.
Velocity is one of 21 smart zones located throughout the state of Michigan. We serve all of the municipalities in Macomb County, and we're located in Sterling Heights. We have incubator and accelerator programming for new and growing businesses, and we also offer co-work and suite spaces as well.
Well, I think Velocity plays an important role to the businesses that are here in the International Landing Zone for probably three reasons. One is the location. Location here being in the heart of the automotive and the defense corridor. It's an important location from an attraction standpoint. Two is the programming. Velocity offers programming that is beneficial to all of the businesses to help them grow at every stage, regardless of where they are in that cycle of their business. And lastly is just having access to those programs and the various partners that are going to help businesses, and all of those programs and partners are here.
It's been an incredible experience coming to Velocity, meeting with like-minded people where we all share the same ideas and understand each other's pains and successes. It's been a real eye-opener.
From every room, every hallway, every meeting room, everything's unique, state-of-the-art, dynamic, and then you have this beautiful outside just to give you that step-away relaxation from the environment. So this isn't a workspace. This is a state-of-the-art work environment for any entrepreneur.
We have done nothing but find great opportunity to do different things here, so it's worked out really well for us. A bunch of our customers are right down the road here in Sterling Heights and in Warren, as well as a bunch of the companies that we work with are all here in the defense corridor.
It's been huge for us. I can't even begin to tell you, when you're an entrepreneur and you're building your business and you need help, and when we found Velocity, it was, I can't even put into words what it did for us in our business. And it's the best kept secret. Had no idea.
I have owned small businesses, and the Velocity Center was a great place if I needed additional pieces of information, if I needed skill sets that I didn't necessarily have in-house. Coming to Velocity and talking to the different members here and talking to the people who work here, they were able to point me in the right direction of qualified people who could help specifically the small business entrepreneur.
The entire staff is very passionate about what they do here and supporting businesses, creating a collaborative environment, and making sure that this place here at Velocity has the programs and the events that help and support that collaborative environment.
What sets Velocity apart is the fact that it breaks down all silos. We have a lot of amazing organizations and ecosystems through the state of Michigan, but Velocity, being the heart of Macomb County, connects all of us throughout it. We're connected with the Michigan Founders Fund, other resources, as well as support systems, and it's all found here under the roof of Velocity.
So while the large businesses in our city are really important, it's the small businesses, those that employ anywhere from 1 to 50 employees, that make up 70% of our local economy. They're critically important to our well-being in Sterling Heights. So we're really lucky tonight to have with us, representing Imagio, the CEO, Mike Trigo, who you saw in the video, and also Paula Battlemente, and they'd like to talk a little bit about their company and what they're doing right here in Sterling Heights. They're located, their business right here, paying taxes, doing good work, and they're committed to Sterling Heights long-term. They've assured us that. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Trigo.
Thank you. Paula and Mike, what we did was I'm sorry. Yeah. Is it the top button?
Yeah. Okay. I think you have to turn it on, though.
Oops, that's the laser.
And I'm the backup flipper, so I'm going to go over to the computer and flip it for you.
I think,
Hey, I got it.
okay, there you go.
So we're with Imagio. We're the co-founders of Imagio, and what we've done is we've developed a print-to-glass technology, and what we're doing is we're using it for the interior design community. We use our glass for backsplashes, shower walls, fireplaces, and we have we work in the commercial and residential space. I've been doing a lot of healthcare lately. Our glass is 1/4 inch. It's tempered, so it's very strong. In 10 years since we've been testing and moving along with the product, we've had no breakage or anything that, like failure of the product. So this here is a good representation of our backsplash. Since we print, we can do any design, so it's unlimited in the design side of things. This is more backsplash.
That one was actually in a model home by Kelly, 20 and 23 Mile and Shaner. So that one, that is called Tranquil Waters, and it has a stone look. So what it means is we print on glass. And what that means is that allows you to create anything you want now as a consumer. So as you can see, you've got beautiful designs here. You can come and say, I want the ocean, or I want something that looks like subway tile. You can show the next one. This is actually one that looks like subway tile, and it has grout, but it's glass. And you'll hear us say, one of our taglines is, grout is out. So it's easy to clean, it's tempered, it's durable, and we are, when you say grout is out and you say that to the consumer, they can't believe now that they can create anything that they want. It's just, we are the future of design, and what's happening now for us is the builders and everyone's catching on. This one here is a beautiful red brick that is
It's a
all
great
solid
example.
glass.
A great example of our like custom ability to print.
Easy to clean too, I assume.
Very, very easy. And it's
Windex. Yes. It's a state.
All of our glass is recycled.
Nice. Oh,
This
look
we
at
did for a doctor in her home. She wanted to highlight the Detroit skyline.
that. Right.
So she created her own design, and we created it for her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Shower walls,
Oh,
no more
water.
grout, you just clean it. And this client, she decided what she wanted. Again, you can create what you want. You may want the ocean in your shower. It's unlimited. This is another beautiful piece. It's backlit in a shower. We did for a builder. Hospital work. Again, it's glass, it's clean, it's antimicrobial.
Right.
And this was one of our largest projects that we did. Mike, you can expound on that.
So what we did, we designed a timeline for the engineering school, the hydrodynamics lab at U of M. And it went 185 feet down the hallway. This one's all backlit and with heavy glass. So it was 3/8.
Yes, we do a lot of spa work, a lot for the spas. Office. What's nice about it now, because we can print on glass, clients now can put their logos. It's not just plain white glass. They can create whatever they want. M1 concourse.
Yeah, we did several M1 concourse garages, and this here's a railing. That was really heavy glass.
Fireplace surrounds are really heavy.
This one has the contrasting walls.
Fireplaces, yeah. The one on the left is what, 21 feet high?
21 feet, yeah. Yeah, that's
So
it,
pretty.
finished.
Okay. I need
Grout is out.
Very cool.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the city of Sterling Heights and Velocity for everything that you have all done for us. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Arco.
I know. I have to say that I know Paula from my St. Anne days, so that's how far we go back. And I still have the manicure set that your daughters bought me as a gift, so, and I still use it. But I want to say that not only are you good in business, but every single day, Paula posts the most positive statements on Facebook so that when you get there in the morning, it's a great way to start the day. So she is just, like I say, not just a beautiful person on the inside and the outside. So thank you, and I'm wishing great success.
Thank you so much. Thank you, city of Sterling Heights. We love it here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Anything else?
Mayor, thank you, and I hate to end on this note, but at the conclusion of tonight's meeting, I'm requesting City Council convene a closed session pursuant to Section 8(1)E of the Open Meetings Act to discuss strategy in connection with trial or settlement strategy, in connection with the Macomb County Circuit Court case 2023-002799-CE. And that does conclude my report this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. The next item on our agenda is an ordinance adoption. This is to consider adoption of a map amendment to zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property situated on the east side of DeQuinder Road between Oak Crest Road and Maple Crest Road in Section 30 from R60, one-family residential, to O1, Business and Professional Office District, case number PZ 23-0011. And is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Sarowski.
Excuse me. Resolved to adopt map amendment to zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property situated on the east side of DeQuinder Road between Oak Crest Road and Maple Crest Road in Section 30 from R60, one-family residential district, to O1, Business and Professional Office District, case number PZ 23-0011, subject to the terms and conditions of the conditional rezoning agreement that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to sign on behalf of the city.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
No, no, I think I'm good with this. Thank you.
Okay, council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt?
Thank you. Just wanted to mention that I was not at the last meeting. However, I did watch the meeting and looked through our backup, and I am very comfortable voting in favor of this. I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on any item on tonight's consent agenda? If not, yes, sir, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Mazer, and I'm a member of the Community Alliance, the Sterling Heights Community Alliance. And I believe that on today's consent agenda, there are some resolutions celebrating things like Women's History Month and many other positive resolutions. And on behalf of the Community Alliance, I just want to speak in favor of those, because even though I might not personally identify with any of those groups, these are my neighbors. This is our community. This is Sterling Heights. And for reasons of community building, for reasons of democracy, resolutions like this are not the end of the conversation. It's the start of a conversation. Nobody is saying that because we're celebrating this group or this person, we don't want to celebrate other people. Instead, we're saying that these details, whatever they might be, are part of what makes us unique, part of what distinguishes our lived experiences, and by acknowledging these things and celebrating these things, we're making our great city even better. A few weeks ago, I was looking at the Declaration of Independence, and to be honest, I was looking at some of the signatures at the bottom. And if all of those old dudes who signed the Declaration of Independence could see our city council, which has so many women on it, could see things like our cultural exchange that's coming up, their wooden teeth would fall out. And that's a good thing. That's progress. That's our more perfect union. So to close, the Community Alliance fully supports what you're doing, supports the resolutions for this month. Keep it up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mazer. Council, anyone else in the audience on the consent agenda? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is a consideration item. This is to consider a request by the Macomb County Mental Health Treatment Court Charitable Foundation for recognition as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a state of Michigan charitable gaming license. It does appear that there are some people that would like to speak on this item. The second and third, perhaps best probate attorneys in Macomb County. You haven't been at our meetings before. Maybe you've watched them. I'm sure you have, but you'll know that you'll refer to me as Your Honor.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Mr. Grant, Mr. Simjanovsky, welcome. Ma'am, welcome. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Brian Grant. I am the secretary of the Macomb County Mental Health Treatment Court. With me is the president, Lori's. What's that? The Charitable Foundation. Macomb County Mental Health Treatment Court Charitable Foundation. Thank you. I have Lori Smith with me. She is the president, and I have Daniel Simjanovsky with me. He is a director. We are seeking your consideration to recognize our charitable foundation as a local nonprofit. We assist the Macomb County Mental Health Treatment Court with some of the things that they can't be provided by grants and otherwise. And so one of the things we're doing is we are going to be hosting a charitable event, Night at the Races. We have to get a state gambling license in order to do it. Our charitable foundation is a newer organization founded in October of 2023, recognized as a 501c3 in October of 2023. Because we are a newer organization, we have to be recognized by a governing body, so we are requesting your consideration.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it.
If you have any questions, we will call you back up at that time, but then we'll see if anybody else in the audience wants to speak, and then, like I said, the council will deliberate and ask any questions they might have of you then.
Sounds
Okay?
good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Thank you, members of the council.
All right, anyone else in the audience on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke?
resolved that the request from the Macomb County Mental Health Treatment Court Charitable Foundation asking that they be recognized as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a state of Michigan charitable gaming license be considered for approval, provided, however, that this action is not an endorsement of the organization, and the city of Sterling Heights should not be listed on any promotional materials associated with their charitable gaming activities.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Yes, briefly, Mr. Mayor, I think that the Macomb County Mental Health Treatment Court is a great thing here in Macomb County. And even though they are the second and third best probate attorneys in the county, we should still support their endeavor here. I think it's a great idea.
I'm being generous with the second.
Oh, boy.
I won't,
Figure out who the first is.
I won't,
Keep thinking, yeah,
I won't
so
say
are
what
we.
order either. No, I certainly.
No, I have,
agree.
Mr. Mayor, yes.
Okay, council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Through the chair to our applicants, where do you have a location where this Night of the Races is going to be held? Yes, please come to the microphones. Bless you.
So the event is going to take place on May the 30th. And right now, we're scheduled for the Italian Cultural Center.
Okay.
Presuming we are approved here, and then make our way through the process with the licensing commission.
So it's not going to be during Kentucky Derby night?
No. We were
Okay.
trying to, but
Yeah,
with
I
the
know.
parameters, we
Okay.
don't want to market until we know we're going to
For
be
sure.
okay.
Okay. That was what I was hoping for, like
We
Derby
can still
Day.
do the hats.
Yeah, you have to do the hats. That's part of the deal. Okay, thank you. That was my question. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else? No, thank you guys for coming. Good to see you, Brian. Good to see you, Dan. Lori, thank you. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure to see you and outside of the court. So, council, with no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations, good luck, and thank you for the good work that you're doing. It is very meaningful, very important. So thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Members of the council.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, moving on. Next item on our agenda tonight is to consider a request to transfer ownership of an escrow 2023 Class C liquor license with SDM license, Sunday sales permit, AM and PM, entertainment permit, outdoor service area permit, and additional bar permit from Eastlake Commons Association 2 LLC to Sidecar Sterling Heights LLC. Is there anyone from Sidecar that would like to speak? Yep, come on up, guys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Simon, business partner Mark Adamo. We're here hoping to get granted, chance to do business in Sterling Heights. This would be our 7th location in Metro Detroit. We're locally owned. Our owners work the business, and we're excited to bring not only Sidecar, but the addition of a golf simulator concept called First Cut that would have 4 golf simulators with food and drink available as well. They're both attached to the old Tilted Kilt site at Hayes and Hall Road. So we are excited, and any questions, we would love to answer them.
Okay, very good. So we will ask questions if we have any, like you saw at the last one, after we give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions they might have, and after a motion's been made. Okay? All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here tonight. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Zarko.
resolve that the request to transfer ownership of the escrow 2023 Class C liquor license with SDM license, Sunday sales permit, AM and PM, entertainment permit, outdoor service area permit, and additional bar permit from Eastlake Commons Associates 2 LLC to Sidecar Sterling Heights LLC be considered for approval.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Zarko?
The discussion I've had about Sidecar is that the tenants in the strip where you're going in are really excited about them moving in and are anxious to find out, where they're going to be eating lunch. But my questions through the chair to the petitioner is the liquor license is only for Sidecar. It's not for the simulated golf.
Come on up if you don't mind. My guess is that you're going to be able to drink and golf at the same time. I mean, they
That's
kind of go
correct.
hand in hand.
Oh, so it's going to be 2 things in one doorway. In other words, you enter and then it's, okay.
Correct, yeah, this is our fourth or third, 1, 2, 3. It's gonna be our fourth concept that shares basically two restaurants or two types of business. So we have a sidecar in Birmingham that operates Shift Kitchen and Cocktails. So the MLCC allows you to add what's listed there as an additional bar permit. So you're able to do 3 of these in one, under one license. So that's gives us the opportunity to not only offer different, drinks and such, but we'll offer different menu items and a different atmosphere as well, so.
So drinking will help with the
I
simulated
mean,
golf.
some people play better when they do, some people don't play better.
No, like I said, the tenants there are really excited about you moving in, and I'm wishing you good luck there.
Thank you
I think
very
it's
much.
it's something different. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Zarco. Mrs.
Mayor
Schmidt?
Taylor, thank you. Through the chair to the petitioners, when do you plan on opening?
We hoping to open the sidecar concept this month, towards the end of the month. And then the golf simulator concept, they're just installing the simulators and finishing that stuff up. We have to have the health department come through and check out the new bar that got added in. So we're shooting for our early to mid-April launch for that concept as well, so.
And can you let our residents know what types of food you're going
Yeah.
to be offering?
So sidecar slider bar, it's not listed there, but that's the name of the restaurant. We offer 15 to 20 different varieties of sliders, so lots of beef hamburger options, vegetarian options, seafood options. So it lets you kind of build, build your own menu, if you will. You're able to a la carte each slider, so people can choose 2 or 3 different options instead of committing to one whole sandwich or whole burger. We have lots of different appetizers, happy hour options. We also offer pizza as well, so it brings in a lot of families and things like that. So, and then the golf simulator concept, First Cut, will have a lot of appetizers and shareable stuff that's kind of easy to eat while you're golfing. But we're looking to do it a little bit more on a dining, fine dining side where food will be a little bit nicer. There's going to be ahi tuna and things of that nature. So it's not only just the golf there. We're hoping to deliver on the food and the environment and service as well.
So I'm glad you mentioned families, because it's not just a sports bar.
No,
Okay.
we do a lot of work at our other locations, from that early dinner business from 5 to 8, 9 o'clock. We did put in the plans that we do offer some arcade options, some video games for the kids to play while they're there. And the pizza, and there's lots of stuff for the kids to eat. We do have hot dogs and stuff on the menu as well. So it's a great place to watch a game, but it's also a great place to come with your family and dine. We hope to hit all those, aspects and make sure that everybody can enjoy their visit, so.
That's great. Well, I know it's a very large piece
yeah.
of that building,
Yeah.
and it's been empty for a long time, and we're
Yes.
glad, because Tilted Kilt kind of left in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have you here, and I wish you a lot of success.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mr. Radke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to echo Mrs. Schmidt. That business has been vacant, I want to say, for quite some time now, probably 10 years.
I think, I think it's pushing that right now,
Right
yeah.
on there. And it's right on the corner, it's a shopping center, it's like kind of the, coming into the community, so I'm happy to see a business move in there. And this is your 7th, you said? So
Yes.
You had some experience with the concept, so obviously,
have,
I'm
yeah.
sure you're gonna be very successful.
Thank you.
So I'm happy to bring you here, and if you can keep a simulator ready for the mayor, I think you might be there once or twice, so.
I
Sure
would
will.
say I went to X Golf on Saturday night.
Right on Lakeside
So,
Boulevard.
yeah.
Right
So,
across
yeah,
the street.
I'd be happy
Yeah.
to stay in Sterling.
So I'm happy to have you here, and I think we're gonna have no trouble transferring this license.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Strowski?
Thank you. Really quickly, just because I have family in Lansing, where are you located in Lansing?
We're on Michigan Avenue in Cedar, right across the
Okay.
street from the Lugnout Stadium. there,
Know
so.
exactly where that is.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That was my own
Yeah.
curiosity. So, but yeah, welcome to Sterling Heights. We
Thank
look
you.
forward to having you. So that's all I have.
Mr. Yanis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my vote on this consideration is going to depend on your answer.
Uh-oh.
What are the ingredients of a sidecar?
what are the ingredients of a sidecar?
Yeah.
So you have cognac, you have lemon juice, and you have.
Are you telling me or are you asking?
I feel like I put on the spot. My bartending days, they've been past me a little bit, but.
That's okay, that's okay. I do have to ask this, and since we've already established you're a family location, that I had a bit of a flashback. Many years ago, we had a Hooters in town, and apparently nobody on city council at the time realized what the uniforms at Hooters looked like. And so there was some consternation there. Hooters left, and now, many years later, Tilted Kilt showed up, and their uniforms were somewhat risque. Is your staff going to be wearing uniforms?
No, they wear sidecar T-shirts,
They're not wearing uniforms, Henry,
hoodies.
did you hear that? Does that make you want to vote yes or no now?
Yes.
I think I'm all in.
You still want to sign?
They're not wearing uniforms, Henry's in.
If you'd like to visit any of the other locations, it's a well maintained uniform for all staff members. So.
Well, several of us are going to be in Lansing next week, staying at the Doubletree, so we're
Okay.
going to take a little walk down and check the
Yeah.
restaurant out.
Hope to see you there.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, council, anyone else? No, it looks like a great concept. I think it's a good use of the space. I'm curious, the only thing I was curious about is the VIP simulator just a bigger area for more people, or is it different technology?
Yeah, we
or
hope to
what?
do a lot of lessons and stuff out of there. Myself and Mark and myself have some friends that that are PGA Tour teachers. So we look to do a lot of some lessons and stuff out of there. So that'll be used for that. That'll be more of like the private space too, if you don't want to be, in the public for the 3 bays. We hope to do, with our sports teams improving, a lot of those simulators, because it's just a screen, can get, converted to the Wings game or the Lions game, so you could almost rent it like a suite, if you will, at the game itself, where you could, relax and eat and watch the game on the big screens instead of utilizing it for golf. So
You can still hit balls into the screen.
Yeah.
And get your swing data, but you just don't have to have
true.
the fake course put up on the display.
Oh, that's an interesting
Yeah.
idea.
So we have the latest technology from TrackMan that just got installed. So it's amazing what they've done with the with it, and we're excited to showcase it to the city and everyone here.
Okay, very good. All right, council, no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations, good luck. We'll see you soon.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
You too.
All right, next up tonight is consideration C. This is to consider approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Sterling Heights and the Sterling Heights Police Command Officers Association. Presentation from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, our budget includes the creation of the city's first ever Deputy Chief of Police classification. As in the case with many large municipal police departments, a Deputy Chief of Police can perform a myriad of departmental leadership functions in the department, and also afford the Chief of Police more manpower to accomplish key initiatives. Recently, representatives of the city and the Command Officers Association met to negotiate the placement of the Deputy Chief of Police classification in the COA bargaining unit. Because the Deputy Chief classification is new to the bargaining unit, wages and benefits and the promotional process needed to be negotiated and incorporated into the existing collective bargaining agreement. So the memorandum of understanding is before you this evening, and I'll highlight just briefly some of the key points. The Deputy Chief of Police classification will join sergeants, lieutenants, and captains. And by the way, we have 25 sergeants, we have 8 lieutenants, and 3 captains. So all of those classifications would be eligible. Let me correct that. There will be lieutenants eligible for the job classification and captains eligible for the job classification. Now, if there isn't sufficient candidates to apply for it internally, there is an option for the city to consider external candidates. So the minimum educational requirements include a bachelor's degree in criminal justice or a related field such as public administration or even business administration. The promotional process for the Deputy Chief of Police is competitive. Applicants will participate in an assessment center, which is very common for lieutenants and captains, and the same for the fire department, from which their score will determine their ranking on the eligibility list for promotion. The city manager then has a right to interview and select from the top 3 applicants on the eligibility list as determined by the assessment center scores. I wanted to note that the Deputy Chief of Police is an at-will job classification, and if there is ever the need, not that we would expect there to be, but if there's a need, the position could be demoted to the rank held prior to promotion without cause. And that's the case with all of our leadership positions in the organization, I should say the vast majority of them. The Deputy Chief of Police salary is 5% greater than the captain's salary at the top step. So that would be approximately $135,000 under the current collective bargaining agreement. Should the MOU be approved by the City Council, the promotional process should take approximately 3 to 4 months from start to finish. I would probably say more likely on the 4-month side of that equation. And with all this in mind, I respectfully request that the Mayor and City Council approve the MOU before you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this item? Not. Council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolved to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Sterling Heights and the Sterling Heights Police Command Officers Association, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign it on behalf of the city.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am very happy that we have finally got this negotiated. I think Deputy Chief is going to be very helpful to the department and keep our city even safer, especially that I know that the Chief of Police has been doing a great job, Dale, but he's asked for some help. So this is the best way to get him the help, I think. So I'm happy to support this, and I appreciate the Command Officers Association negotiating in good faith and getting this agreement in front of us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Rowski.
So I do want to echo Mr. Radke's words. I do think this is an extremely important position. Our department, especially due to the size and the size of our city, we need this position. We've needed it for a bit, and I am very happy that the Command Officers Association has given us that ability and negotiated with us to get to this stage, and I'm glad to see that we've finally gotten to this and we're able to move forward. So I'm happy for it, and I'm going to be voting yes. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Mrs. Koski.
Thank you. Has anyone applied yet for the position? Has that been open to take applications?
Councilman Koski, we haven't started the recruitment. We wanted to get through this process before you this evening, then we will start the official process.
When do you think that you'll be able to do your appointing? In other words, when will we have our deputy chief?
Well, I mentioned 3 to 4 months, but I would like to stick with 4 months. I think it's probably going to take that long to get through the process. So I would say 4 months.
We have a clause in here that they will be at will, which means that obviously that they can be demoted. Does it work the other way, that if someone has the position and decides that's not what they want to do, can they voluntarily go back?
Mr. Vanderpool.
That's a very good question. I would assume in that case, we'd work with the individual and try to work out an amicable solution in that case. I don't know that we've ever had that situation, but that's my initial thought, but I'd have to get back with you on the exact process for that sort of situation.
Just something to keep in mind. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Koski. Anyone else? Not all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes that portion of our agenda. We'll move on to communications from citizens. If anyone would like to speak under this item, Mr. Sergat.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Mr. Koszybski, Mr. Vanderpool. I'm from the Sterling Heights Drug Free Coalition, and I'm here to invite everyone tomorrow at 6 p.m. You can see the flyer on the screen at St. Michael Catholic Community at 6 p.m. We are going to be having our annual Black Balloon Day with the Sterling Heights Drug Free Coalitions. And it gives people, residents, an opportunity to remember those that we've lost. 100,000 Americans each year die with a drug overdose. And this affects all ages, all races, poor, rich. It affects everyone, and I think at this point everyone knows someone that they've lost. And this is a chance for you to remember their lives and maybe meet other people that have been going through what you're going through as you're going through the grieving process. And with me is Elizabeth Coppola. Capolo. I'll get that right one day. And she's also with the Drug Free Coalition. She's been going to a lot of our outreach events in the last 3 months, and we're just here to promote the event for tomorrow. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. We appreciate you being here and the leadership on that.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, anyone else under communications from citizens? I'll start with you, ma'am.
Hello, respected council members. My name is Rubayat. Since I've started attending the council meetings, I would like to start off by saying that as a resident, I notice the effort Sterling Heights puts for us. It feels good to be part of a community that values collaboration and strives for the betterment of all its residents. As we look towards the future of electing officials, our commitment to unity and progress remains the same. Last week's election revealed a significant number of uncommitted voters, over 1,400 in our city alone. This happened within less than a month of effort from dedicated organizations. Some of us took to the streets of Sterling Heights, educating our fellow residents about the power of voting. Uncommitted does not mean we will not vote for Biden in November, unless he seizes support for the ongoing genocide. Oftentimes, the last part gets overlooked, which is the most important part. We must remember the sacrifice made by a young and bright U.S. Air Force soldier, Aaron Bushnell. For the ones who don't know yet, in an act of protest against the ongoing genocide in Palestine, he self-immolated in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. He set himself on fire to give us a shock. To quote someone, he said he didn't want to live in a world that allowed for this. He ultimately gave away the most valuable thing, life. While we understand that the city of Sterling Heights does not directly deal with federal issues, we believe that passing a ceasefire resolution can create awareness and shape the public narrative. Michigan, as a swing state, holds the power to influence change at the national level. Cities that have passed ceasefire resolutions are not just seen as communities with specific ethnic or religious affiliations, but as cities that are diverse, inclusive, and stand for justice. Let us not be disheartened by the magnitude of the challenges we face in this world. Let us also not get confused here by listening to a mix of emotions, because we all want one thing. By passing a clear and unequivocal bilateral ceasefire resolution, Sterling Heights can be a part of the powerful message that our community also stands united for peace and justice. Thank you for the time tonight, and have a very good night.
Thank you, ma'am. Yep.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. First of all, I'm Sylvia Orduno. I'm a Detroit resident, as I mentioned before, and I'm here on behalf of the People's Water Board Coalition. And I want to, first of all, thank you for this amazing resolution you've passed on behalf of World Water Day. It's no small deal. This isn't something that is typically brought up. As you're familiar, the World Water Day is something that is actually done by the United Nations to bring attention to water insecurity across the world, including what we've got here in the Great Lakes State. And so it really, in my view, is recognizing what you are seeing as the importance of connecting human rights to ensuring that people have water significant for life. I actually coming back from Lansing today before I came to this meeting, and I've met with the chair of the Natural Resources Committee. I know that you all have taken a stand to not pass the resolution, as I understand either way, and that this is something really for the legislature. They are paying attention to what you all are saying and thinking about at the local level. It matters very much because you were the ones that are administering how it is that the water systems get done and how you're billing residents and what residents are paying. And so this has become a larger kind of state conversation. And so one thing I will ask, actually I have two things to ask of you, please. There is a request for local city and county electeds to sign on to a support statement. I'll share this with you for your consideration tomorrow morning and ask you to look into that. It is being signed by mayors, county executives from across the state to demonstrate their support for this. And then also one other thing. One of the things that keeps coming up is the matter of there being enough funding in the RAP program. I was able to participate in a recent meeting with GLEWA leadership that again keeps naming that there is inadequate resources in the program for RAP and that Macomb County, fortunately, more people are getting enrolled, but there is not clarity on the commitment that is being extended out there and having adequate resources for this. So when RAP was established at the beginning in 2015, it was funded at 0.5% of the operating budget, and it was allowing for people to participate who were at 150% of the poverty level, allowed for program benefits up to $1,500 and plumbing or conservation dollars at $1,000. Since then, because of the need and feedback that they've gotten from people, the program now allows up to $2,400 in benefits, up to $2,000 in plumbing, and is expanded eligibility up to 200%. So a lot more people are eligible, a lot more benefits are being provided with the same funding level. And so the legislation, again, is very much needed by GLEWA, by RAP, in order to be able to sustain the need. And so again, as you're having all these amazing conversations and meetings that are kind of around green infrastructure, existing water bills for residents is still a major problem. And so my second ask ties into, when I was participating in the RAP formation meetings, when GLEWA was getting established, one of the things that was done was a survey out to several communities across the Tri-County area to get a sense of what was going on with water bills. I recall that in data that came back from Sterling Heights, it was one of the communities that had the highest number of water bills, outstanding water bills transferred over onto taxes as liens. And so my request is that you all look at the history of what liens have been here through the water department to get a sense of if there are still patterns like this and what it means as you're looking at how water affordability affects your residents here. So again, just want to thank you very much for your leadership and support.
Okay, thank you,
And
ma'am.
I have two residents with me. Lastly, we participated in a lunch and learn at UAW Local 228 on Saturday, and two more residents who live in the city here are also very supportive of this and came tonight to also talk. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Would you like to speak, sir?
Yes, good evening, David Epsey. I'm a resident of Sterling Heights. I'm a dentist. Yeah, we all went to this water affordability conference on Saturday, and it was excellent. And I just want to notify the council, if you didn't know about it, there's 5 bills being proposed in the Michigan legislature now to support water affordability, which essentially is, and if people want to pay for their water, they just want to pay for it on an affordable scale, related to their income, no more than 3% of their income. There's some people can't afford the full water bill. Just encourage the council to pass a resolution in support of the water affordability program legislation at the state level. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Keith Livermore. I'm a new resident here. I just purchased a house in Sterling Heights, and I'm very excited to take the journey here in this new city. That being said, Sylvia and Dr. Apsey, they made some very great points. I want to add to that Sterling Heights is a very large city. It's I think it's the 4th largest city in all of Michigan, and I think that what we do here, I think the rest of the state watches, and we set an example. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Livermore. Anyone else under communications from citizens? Okay, I'll start in the front and move my way backwards.
I hope I didn't break it. Okay. Hello, everyone.
Happy Lent for those of us who are fasting. As we come together in the season of Lent, a time of reflection, repentance, and renewal for many in our community, it is important that we embody the teachings of Christ in our actions as well as our prayers. Jesus did not just say, "I was hungry and you prayed for me," or "You sent me thoughts and prayers." He said, "I was a prisoner and you came to me." True spirituality is not confined to the walls of our churches or limited to our Sunday prayers. It is found in our active participation in loosening the bonds of injustice and letting the oppressed go free. And let it be known, God is in solidarity with the marginalized and the oppressed. God takes sides. God is not neutral, and God's solidarity should become our solidarity. If God takes sides, so should we. Last week's election revealed that over 1,400 individuals in our city were uncommitted voters, seeking leaders who are willing to listen and take decisive action for peace. This is a clear call to action for all of us. We simply cannot raise concerns from a distance. We must actively engage in the work of peace building and solidarity. Our faith, regardless of the background of your religion, calls us to be peacemakers, to strive for justice, and to stand in solidarity with the oppressed. It is not enough to just pray for peace. We must work for it. This means advocating for policies and resolutions that promote peace and justice, both locally and globally. Therefore, I urge the Council to support a bilateral ceasefire resolution for the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Let us demonstrate our commitment to true spirituality by actively working to alleviate the suffering of our fellow human beings. Let us be guided by the example of Jesus, who stood with the oppressed and called on us to do the same. And thank you for all of the hard work you've done in Sterling Heights, because this is reflected. Thank you for your attention and your consideration. And last thing, for council, people watching at home and the audience, please think about what it means to be true peacemakers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Who'd like to be next in the center portion?
Hello, Council. I've come forward today to urge the City Council to take a proactive stance in advocating for a ceasefire in Gaza. The ongoing genocide has led to profound humanitarian suffering and loss. Tens of thousands of innocent women, children, and men have been killed unnecessarily. I would like to remind the Council of the number 1 guideline listed in the Sterling Heights Resolution amending ethical principles for city official employees, public office as a public trust. That is number 1. This states that public servants should treat their office as a public trust, only using their powers and resources of public office to advance public interests and not to attain personal benefits or pursue any other private interest incompatible with the public good. With that being said, please uphold these guidelines that you were elected to uphold, and please listen to what we have to say today and what we've been saying. As members of our community, we have a responsibility to speak out against violence and advocate for peaceful solutions to conflicts. By publicly endorsing a ceasefire, the City Council can send a powerful message of solidarity with those affected by the crisis and demonstrate your commitment to promoting peace, stability in the region. Too many people have died during this conflict, and too many people continue to suffer and starve while we sit here and argue about supporting their rights to live. I urge the City Council to put forth a resolution affirming our city's support for an end to this violence and to promote humanitarian aid efforts in Gaza. Thank you for listening.
Anyone else on the center portion? I'll take you first.
Good evening. I hope you all had a great day. I just wanted to start my speech by saying that 13.2% of the Macomb County voted uncommitted, which translates to roughly around 93,000 of the total population. In total, the amount of uncommitted voters as a whole came kind of close to the number of the Sterling Heights population, which is around 133,000. Sterling Heights actually led the highest percentage within the county with about 16.5% casted votes for uncommitted. That's about 22,000 of Sterling Heights residents. To put that in perspective, the city council's local elections resulted in a range of 7,000 to 10,000 votes for each one of you. So the amount of uncommitted votes is almost double that. So the residents who continuously are showing up here, who clearly value your stance and look up to you to validate their pain, their struggle, and amplify their voices when calling for a ceasefire. Because that's what community means. Community is not bound to set ethnicity, race, religion, or gender, but a common shared support and respect for everyone that's within it. That's why this is my second time coming here to show support from my fellow community members. But looking back at the diversity within Sterling Heights, about 26% of the population is actually foreign-born, 73% of those being born in Asia, which from a non-resident perspective really highlights the different diversity, again, within the area. So going back to uncommitted, what does that mean? You may have heard about it in the 2008 election when 48% of voters between the ages of 18 to 29 voted uncommitted in protest to Obama not being on the Michigan Democratic ballot. Obama, whose vice president, was no one else other than our current president, Joe Biden. It was actually quite embarrassing at the time for Hillary Clinton losing such a huge amount of votes to not even another candidate, but just the term uncommitted. If you're still unfamiliar with uncommitted, according to the Michigan Secretary of State, voting uncommitted is a term on the ballot, and it's still, each party's candidate still has the term uncommitted on it. When a voter selects uncommitted, that implies that they are exercising a party vote, but are not committed to any of the candidates listed on the ballot. The uncommitted vote position does not rotate like other candidates' names and remains in the position above the write-in. Voting uncommitted was Michigan's way, Sterling Heights' way, of standing up for our democracy and calling on President Joe Biden to listen to his American citizens within the Michigan state and to listen to the young voters who actually carried this uncommitted movement. This type of political pressure is quite powerful, as we are all aware of Macomb County's significance in the 2016 election. So each county matters, and having a unified voice, a unified campaign to protect our democracy is the only thing that matters. I really hope that our president does not take lightly that 1 in 8 Democrats in Michigan voted uncommitted. And for those who affiliate with the Democratic Party, I urge you to join us in this fight to call for the basic humanitarian thing, which is a ceasefire, which translates to a halt to the constant bombardment of innocent civilians and children, to exercise the power in which the people within this room trusted you with. I have seen the effort of the people here in this room continuously week after week, putting hours and hours worth of time, constant communication on how they should approach the next city council meeting. And I really urge you to support at least and respect their effort and vote in favor of a ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else in the center portion? I'll go with you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Suhair. 2 years ago, March 2022, Mayor Taylor and the City Council of Sterling Heights came out in an outcry in press releases and in city initiatives to express empathy to the plight of the Ukrainians after the Russian invasion. In a parallel situation in the last few weeks, our diverse community of all faiths and all ethnicities came out pleading for your empathy as the atrocities are mounting and exceeding all crimes we have witnessed in Ukraine. That is why we are here again. We want to hear from you, your empathy calling for peace. Since last City Council meeting, the situation in Gaza, sadly,
got worse by all accounts. According to the UN World Food Program, Israel intentionally is using food as a weapon. Israel continues to block food, water, and medicine from reaching the civilian population in Gaza. More than 8 trucks carrying food into Gaza were targeted with direct strikes and shooting at awaiting starving civilians to further inflict terror on the population. Gazans have to choose to risk their lives to get food or die from hunger. According to the United Nations, the amount of aid reaching the Palestinians in Gaza dropped by 50% in February compared to the previous month, while no aid trucks have reached North Gaza in the last 2 weeks. That is more than 400,000 people that can't get food in the north of Gaza. Today, the health ministry in Gaza reported 18 children have died from starvation. Human rights organizations are sounding the alarm. The number of children deaths is anticipated to rise quickly. Johns Hopkins University reported that if a ceasefire is not immediately enforced, we will sadly continue to see 10 to 20,000 children die from famine. But a ceasefire now versus a ceasefire in 4 months could save around 75,000 children's lives. That is why your call, every call for a ceasefire is urgent and crucial now. More than 1,400 uncommitted votes, as mentioned before, from the city of Sterling Heights residents send a message that people want to see a ceasefire. Your stand for Ukraine mattered, and your stand for peace matters now. We urge you to add a bilateral ceasefire resolution to the next City Council meeting agenda. I will close with this quote by the philosopher John Stuart Mill on staying silent when atrocities are committed. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the center portion? Yes, sir.
Good evening, council members. I'm here to call on you to pass a ceasefire resolution for the Israel-Palestine war. Again, I'm here on my own time as a working student, trying to humanize the people of Palestine. As an individual, I have little power, and for now, this is the most I can do in a city with little influence. Our mayor brought attention to the issue in Ukraine because he knows the power of international community. It is time again for him to flex this power and call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Since 2022, nearly 11,000 people have been killed in the Russia-Ukraine war. Since this past October, at least 30,000 people have been killed in Gaza and the West Bank. Hopefully, you will not only see this as a tragedy, but I hope you understand the importance and symbolism of this matter. This community is aware of organizations who actively work against our movement. We also know about the defense contractors who line our manufacturing industry. Your silence will validate their work to silence any voice for the Palestinian people. It is your job as professionals to allow no room for ambiguity. You must be consistent in all matters. Calling for a peaceful ceasefire resolution would not be political, and it would not be picking a side. You're telling both sides to stop. War is not political, and killing is not political. If you can see the plight of the Ukrainians and act on it, but refuse to call for a ceasefire resolution, which is literally being handed to you, we have no choice but to believe that you don't have our interests in mind. We have come here week after week, demanding a ceasefire, giving testimonies from people who descend from the land, watching the death toll rise and still no action from you, our representation. I believe you all understand the gravity of this movement. If not, you would not be so intentional in your ignorance towards it. If your hands are tied, you cannot call for a peace, and you cannot call for peace. This is not the career path for you. Being in your position means fighting for the well-being of people you represent, even if it is a challenge. When we elected you, we wanted you to create a future reflecting the people. No one expected this horrible thing to happen to the people in Palestine. But as individuals, we must take on the responsibility of being activists for the people we love. We personally feel the need to call for a ceasefire, and it's not your place to decide whether our voices should be heard. If you do not act on this matter how we peacefully asked, you are malfunctioning as the representatives of the people of Sterling Heights. You would only be acting as an obstacle to our cause. And if you haven't already noticed, the Palestinians are steadfast. Power in government is layered like a pyramid, but without the stones that form the base, there is no platform to establish the top. This is my third time attending these council meetings. I've seen people brought to tears telling you why this is dear to their hearts, and it's sad to see how little you care about it. Whether you argue a technicality or say it isn't our place to speak out, you should be caring about what these people have to say and acting on their agenda. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Nelson?
Ken Nelson, Firesdale, Sterling Heights. I must say that the first time that our guests out here started talking, I made remarks to my wife, and I have made remarks to several other of the speakers, that you are very, very kind in your comments. This is getting to be threatening. There is no reason to be coming up here one after the other, stating that our politics are getting in the way. They're not, okay? So as far as the threatening, I hope that threatening stops, and I think you should stop them from speaking when they threaten. The other reason I'm here is I didn't know that there was going to be a briefing or a statements by Mr. Inks from the Sustainability Commission, but I've been looking at, this is about my 8th book. I've got about 5 more to read. I'm doing my research on what exactly sustainability goals, 17 of them, by the way, are going to do for the city of Sterling Heights. If anybody did do any research, you're going to find that if the Sustainability Commission can get through 17 goals, then we're going to be well on our way to a single world government. Did anybody read on any of this, or are you just listening to the people that are pushing it down your throat? I want to confer to you the title of globalist, all of you, and the people on the Sustainability Commission and the people on the Planning Commission. And I'm sure there's a few more. Do something about this. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nelson. Anyone else in the center portion?
Good afternoon. My name is Mishara Kandakar. I'm a proud resident of Sterling Heights. I'm really happy to be standing before you guys and address a critical matter that not only affects our beloved city of Sterling Heights, but also speaks to the very essence of our collective identity as a community. Before I dive into the heart of the matter, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the tremendous efforts and achievements of our city officials. Their unwavering commitment to the betterment of Sterling Heights has laid the foundation for progress and inclusivity. It is with great eagerness that we continue to work alongside with them, hand in hand, towards a future that embodies the values we hold dear. In the aftermath of the recent election, one striking statistic demands our attention. Over 1,400 individuals in our city remained uncommitted. That is not merely a number, it is a resounding call for leadership that listens and acts in pursuits of peace. Many of us took to the streets, engaging with our fellow citizens to convey a simple yet profound message. An uncommitted vote is a ceasefire vote. It is a declaration that we yearn for harmony, for unity, and for leaders who prioritize the well-being of our community above all else. Moreover, let us not underestimate the power of our collective voice. Our community stands ready, poised to support leaders who truly represent our values and aspirations. We must remember that our strength lies within unity, and we cannot afford to let any single issue fracture our solidarity with one another. It is now more than ever, it is imperative that we remain steadfast in our resolve to uphold the principles of inclusivity, compassion, and progress. Therefore, I urge each and every one of you to join me in advocating for a bilateral ceasefire resolution for Gaza from the city of Sterling Heights. I hope that we can come together, not as adversaries, but as partners in the pursuit of a brighter future for generations to come. Together, we can turn the tide of discord into a wave of understanding and cooperation. Let us seize this moment to reaffirm our commitment to building a city that we can all be proud to call home. I thank you.
Hi again, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm a lifelong Sterling Heights resident. So we all understand, based on comments made after this section at the last meeting, that there's at least been beginnings of talks to write up and propose a resolution for a ceasefire among the council. Just want to say, despite our maintained frustration, this is a welcome development. But I need to ask the obvious question of, how long will it take? Should we expect it on the agenda later this meeting, for next meeting, 4 weeks from now, 2 months from now? I mean, it's been going on at least since before the last meeting. So how long should we expect? I'm not asking this like sarcastically or antagonistically. It's a genuine question. Like, where do you guys feel this is going? And of course, we urge that a swift resolution is passed, just as the people in Palestine would like a swift end to the war and to the slaughter of their families. And I just want to respond to some of the comments that Councilwoman Ziarko, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, made last week during the response section. We all understand here that passing a resolution here isn't going to end the war. No one's under that impression. I hope that's clear. But just as many tens of thousands of voters came together in the primary last week to vote uncommitted on a really impressively short time frame, that should signal something about how urgently this is felt, how strongly this is felt, and that we as citizens are using the means made available to us to express our frustration and to, get all levels of government to respond, coming together, all the little efforts, building a big effort to get the ceasefire resolution passed and to change the course of our government's policy in this war and how it's relating to the state of Israel. So I know, again, last time you guys responded to us after the comments were made. You guys made some comments to address us. that's welcomed. And I would like to ask that when you guys get to that section again today, to address like what are the details on the state of writing this resolution, finalizing the resolution, what hesitations there are among council members about passing this resolution, and what the state is of arranging a public meeting with state representatives like there has been before. Because, again, us coming up here and making comments, we don't really know what's going on with you guys until you say stuff back to us. So please tell us where you guys are and where the state of this interaction's going. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the center portion? Start over on the right in the back, yep.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Melissa, and I live and work here in Sterling Heights. I'm here to speak in support of a bilateral ceasefire resolution for the war in Gaza. These last few City Council meetings, I've been moved by the stories previous speakers have shared about their loved ones in Gaza. I thank you for continuing this conversation with us, and I look forward to coming to an agreement. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. I want to start by saying us speaking up here and telling you if you don't represent us, we will exercise our right to replace you is not a matter of threatening you. It's a matter of exercising our God-given right. God sent us here, and we will do what he wants us to do. So no, nobody's threatening you. You can feel comfortable in your seats. This is what our founding fathers did to oppose their government. And of course, that government thought it was threatening. So if you think it's threatening, obviously there's something wrong there. So I'm going to cut to the chase here. Look, it feels like you are all taking us for a ride here. It's been over 12 weeks. I've been coming to these meetings, I think, 5 or 6, I lost count. And we have been coming here voicing our concern for adopting a ceasefire resolution, and you are yet to put this on the agenda to discuss. I just want to ask you, do you plan to listen to us on this issue? Because so far it only shows us that you are not listening or you don't care. No, we are not asking you to direct us to the right direction or organize a meeting for us with state representatives for us. Trust me, we know exactly what to do there. They have been getting over 1,000 calls a day from Michigan that we have been tracking on a daily basis. So we are coming to you because we are not being heard there. And no, we are not asking you to stop the war. And Mayor, let me ask you, how many residents had to show up here asking you for your support for the war in Ukraine before the city decided to make a statement and take a stance in the war in Ukraine? As opposed to how many residents have showed up here so far over the last 3 months, the city is yet to show support for our voice. I mean, the first meeting alone, you counted yourself, there was 33 residents that spoke on this matter. Do you know what happens in a genocide in 3 months? Do you have any idea what happens in 3 months? That's what it took for you to, I don't know what's in your mind, what you plan to do, but that's how long it has been that you've been hearing this over and over again, that this is a genocide that's going on. So I don't expect you to have an idea what happens in 3 months, but at least I ask to stop wasting our time and introduce a resolution for ceasefire. At this point, I'll stop asking you to represent us and represent my voice. I just want you to show me you are a human being. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the center portion? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Dear council members, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow advocates for justice, today we stand united in our demand to stop genocide, illegal settlement, and terminate occupation in Palestine. By the way, my name is Shamim Ahmad. I work for the state of Michigan as a senior environmental engineer to protect Michigan public health and environment. Currently, we are watching one of the most significant injustice of our time, the ongoing genocide and occupation in Palestine. The world cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering of the Palestinian people any longer. It is our moral duty to speak out against these atrocities and demand immediate action to stop the genocide and end the occupation in Palestine. Genocide is a crime against humanity. It is a systematic and deliberate attempt to destroy a group of people based on their ethnicity, religion, and nationality. The Palestinian people have been subjected to violence, displacement, and oppression for too long. You know already 2.3 million people have been displaced, and more than 30,000 people have been killed, including more than 10,000 children have been killed. We cannot allow history to repeat itself. We must learn from the past and take a stand against genocide wherever it occurs. Occupation is a violation of international law and human rights. The Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories has resulted in widespread suffering and deprivation for the Palestinian people. They are denied basic freedom. Their land is stolen as well as seized. Their homes are demolished and their lives are constantly under threat. This injustice cannot continue. We must demand an end to the occupation and support the Palestinian people's right to self-determination. Last but not least, we must remember the silence is complicity. By staying silent in the face of injustice, we become partners to the crime being committed against the Palestinian people. If you continue to remain silent, it indicates that you are supporting the killing of Palestinian children. Right now, more than 1 million children are in danger to death, without food, without nothing. Let's raise our voice together and demand justice, equality, and peace for all people, including the Palestinian. Please pass a resolution, not only ceasefire to stop, but also to stop genocide and terminate occupation in Palestinian right now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else in the center portion?
It's me again. So I don't know if I'm the only Palestinian here or not. It's emotional for me to continue talking about it, to be honest with you. I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted. I go to sleep checking my phone. I wake up checking my phone. Consider yourselves lucky that you can go to sleep and not have to worry about getting a call from your family, that you can wake up and you can go to work with a smile on your face, because me, I have to fake it. I drop my children off at school, I go home, I say a prayer, I go to work, I put a smile on my face, I hide my emotions from my clients. But it's really starting to get overwhelming as a Palestinian America, who loves Palestine, who loves peace, who loves Jesus. I mean, for goodness sake, we had an American soldier set himself on fire, and his last words were, "Free Palestine." I don't want to see that. I never want to see anybody hurt themselves in such a way. I'm asking for peace on both sides. And I know, I understand, Mr. Mayor, I understand what you guys are all saying. You can't fix the war. I understand it. But please understand this from my standpoint as a Palestinian American citizen of Sterling Heights, that my nights and my mornings are not like yours. You can't begin to imagine what I've seen and what my family and I have to constantly go through. I won't ask you to imagine it. It's sickening. It will make you vomit. But please, I don't want to come here again. I don't want to come here and continue speaking to you guys about this. I want to talk about cultural events. I want to be a part of this community again without feeling this way. I'm just asking for a resolution for a ceasefire. and free Palestine from the river to the sea. Thank you.
Anyone else in the center portion? Not, I'll move over to the left. Anyone on the left?
Good evening, council members, and may peace be with you. In the spirit of recent and current events, I'd like to thank the members of the City Council for their continued commitment towards the City of Sterling Heights' best interests. And again, thank you. But as recent events go, we still have urgencies that we, as constituents, have no choice but to continue to impress upon. As you may already know, we were first brought to the City Council with the interests of extending the guiding hand towards the divestment of U.S. involvement in global conflict. For this, we continue to look forward to the city's resolution for ceasefire. And thank you again for your continued efforts towards this. As we continue to drive toward the prevention of violence, oppression, and unjustified killing of unaffiliated civilians for the sake of our country's extremely frivolous sense of accountability in global affairs, I bring to you today the case of a 19-year-old Clinton Township resident who unjustifiably lost their life last night due to the lack of oversight of a local vape shop business. In the spirit that we stand with you here today, I request for the City Council of Sterling Heights to work with the leaders of Clinton Township in investigating the factors that has led to this unnecessary injury of city workers. A firefighter is in critical condition due to this, the losses of the city's potential growth due to the costs that have been affiliated with this, and the death of an innocent citizen, and to proceed towards ensuring this tragedy and its accompanying losses do not inevitably find their way to our city. In the spirit of preventing further tragedy and death as they continue in Gaza and the forcefully diminishing Palestinian territories, I would like to also present the failure in conversation I've experienced with the city of Warren. I am an active employee involved in property management and maintenance and currently working towards leading community development in the city of Warren, although I am an official resident of Sterling Heights. When the request was made to have the city adopt community development efforts in enabling the residents to avoid falling into blight and thereafter unnecessary demolitions of their homes, alongside unnecessary violations applied towards the inner peace of their residents, very similar to how they are happening to the Palestinian people, the response fell towards leaving my contact information behind, whereupon the city has yet to follow up on any interest towards helping its own citizens. If I have any requests to the City Council regarding this matter, it's to continue pushing the conversation forward on what we can do for our community. In regards to the worst of what's happening, what are we doing to protect them? What are we doing to help them in their times of need? And more so, what can we do to continue pushing forward, I guess, what's best for the actual residents and not necessarily just the city's interests? Thank you.
Anyone else on the left? Mr. Smith?
Well, thank you very much. Well, I see that this is continuing as the Middle East conflict has continued for 77 years. I don't see that this will blow over much sooner. Acting under the advice of Councilwoman Zarko, I did speak directly with both of our U.S. representatives, U.S. Representative Lisa McClain and U.S. Representative John James. I presented your case to them in as fair and unbiased a manner as possible. Both of them strongly reaffirmed their support of Israel. Representative James was a U.S. Army helicopter pilot in the Middle East. His support of Israel is, if anything's possible, even stronger than my own. I also discussed this with the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. I've been assured that no such item will ever appear on their agenda, although you are welcome to go to the mountain and speak at their meetings and go on the record too. Since 1947, there have been 18 named wars in which Israel has defended itself against Muslim Arab aggression. This current war is called the IHW, the Israel-Hamas War. The previous war, the 17th war, ended in 2014. A state of ceasefire existed for 9 years. 9 years of ceasefire, maybe a few minor police skirmishes, but nothing you could call a ceasefire. But that ceasefire ended October 6, 2023, when a force of Gaza Hamas invaders went into Israel and killed 2,000 totally innocent, unarmed Israeli civilians and took 250 hostages. As anyone would have predicted, the IDF responded to this criminal invasion, and thus far, according to one source, as of today, have extracted 30,631 Gaza Hamas fighters as justified reprisals for this invasion. It's my prediction that the ceasefire will come immediately with the return of the Israeli hostages. Now, very much to my displeasure, President Biden, and I guess President Biden, most everything he does displeases me, so that's not a surprise. But this weekend, he deployed an air wing of C-130s to deliver thousands of tons of survival equipment and supplies to Gaza. He's been dropping pallets full of food, water, medicine, clothing, everything Gaza needs to live. So when you attack President Biden, you are literally physically biting the hand that feeds you. President Biden is feeding you, and you're attacking him in the elections. Not that you're going to hurt him; he'll get nominated anyway. At this point, it's going to be Trump against Biden anyway. But by President Biden dumping this food, think of Americans that are needy in Detroit, Flint, Benton Harbor, Chicago, St. Louis, unemployed coal miners in the Appalachians, Indians on reservations in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. They'd like to have some of these food bundles dumped on them. And don't you doubt that this will become part of the campaign against Biden, feeding the Gazas while starving the Americans. Thank you.
Anyone else, Mr. Mazer?
Good evening again, and thank you for letting me speak to you a second time. I come here again with my Community Alliance hat on. At the end of this week, we're having a cultural exchange, and I hope everyone in this room and in the city shows up to that. The Community Alliance will have a presence showing people what's going to be happening at the upcoming disability workshop on the 20th, and also just talking to residents about what else they want to see from our group, what they like about Sterling Heights, and hopefully we have many positive conversations there. If you're there on Friday, please make sure you say hello to us. I want to reiterate again to everyone in this room and everyone in the city that on the 20th for the Disability Awareness Workshop, we have a big room set up with more than a dozen different tables, lots of interactive things for children and also adults to physically get a sense of what it's like for people with different experiences than them. We had a lot of children showed up and they all had a great time. And again, we want children, adults. I'm inviting my cousins from out of town. The more people at the Disability Awareness Workshop, the better. I also want to talk about an event that's kind of my pet project within the Community Alliance, and this will be held on Monday, April 1st. It is called the Page Turner Social, and it's for all of the readers in the room. This is an event, and we're kind of stealing it from New York and some other places where this has happened, where you show up with a book or grab one from the library, and for the first 30 minutes, people are just going to sit in the programming center of the library and read silently to themselves. We might have some light jazz playing, we'll have refreshments, a couple of mocktails. People just read whatever they want to read quietly in a room with other strangers. And after about half an hour of that, they're going to talk to the strangers. Introduce yourself, talk about what you like to read, talk about what you just read. It's a way to be both an introvert and an extrovert and build community, which is what we're here to do. After we do that for about 20 minutes, we'll do another half hour of reading and another 20 minutes of talking. And hopefully that's a really positive experience on Monday, April 1st, and everyone's invited to that. Taking off my Community Alliance hat, and now speaking to you as a Sterling Heights resident, an American, a licensed Michigan attorney. It's really beautiful and troubling to hear all of the things that we've been hearing over the last couple of minutes. This is what it means to be an American. I don't want to say that as a cop-out to the serious issues and the specifics that people are asking for, but this sort of conversation is important. As elected officials, please don't get cynical or tired. You know, showing up and continuing to participate, continuing to hear this is what we want to and need to see as people in this country. And, you know, violence is inevitable. There is ongoing violence in Ukraine, and it sucks. I read the news, and what's going on in Gaza sucks, and Israel sucks. It breaks my heart every day. You know, I saw the plates of food that people are paying hundreds of dollars to eat, and that's, you know, if anyone in America is starving, come on over. I wish I could feed everyone. But my message to the council with the minute I have left, if there's anything the city can do to nurture these well-intentioned passions, keep doing that. Like, we need to oppose hatred, we need to oppose nihilism, we need to support peace and coexistence and being an example to the rest of Michigan, the rest of the world. I don't have those answers. I don't know if you have those answers. If the Community Alliance can help, put us to work. But there's clearly a need for more ideas and more effort, so hopefully something positive comes from this and it doesn't just lead to heartburn and disappointment. We got to keep fighting for that positivity as long as we could still breathe. So thank you for that.
Anyone else on my left?
Hello, my name's Elizabetta, Sterling Heights resident for 38 years. I have 3 little children growing up in the city. I was not going to speak tonight, but the more I listen, the more I remember why I come here every time. Like last night, I went to dinner with some friends who might not be as involved in the political world or just humanity in general sometimes. I think ignorance is bliss. And one of them said to me last night, "Aren't you busy enough? You know, I have a sick mom, I have a sick aunt, I have 3 little kids, I work, I'm my PTA president. Don't you just want to like stop posting about Palestine? Aren't you tired? Isn't it exhausting you?" And I just thought, like, this is the least that I can do is come and speak at these meetings. It's the least that I can do is like come and say, you know, maybe it'll affect someone. I don't know if all of you have children, but I would dare to believe that you all love a child. And for example, one night I went out and my husband was home with my kids, and when I got home, my daughter, who is most obsessed with me, they told me she was asleep. Well, when I went to check on her, she wasn't in her bed, which was so crazy. So for literally 15 minutes, if that, I looked through my whole house, which is not big, for my child. And the fear and the panic I felt like I couldn't breathe. My child was under blankets asleep on a couch downstairs after watching a movie. Last night, I watched a mother search for her child in the rubble, like just searching for her child. And I'm lucky enough to sit at home with my kids warm in their beds, safe, with all the food they need and everything they need. They're actually extremely too lucky, too spoiled. And I think these poor families, like, all we're asking, I want to live in a city that I can be proud of. And I think that all of you chose to do this because I know you don't make tons of money doing this. You chose to do this because you want to make a difference. And I come here because I want to make a difference. So anybody that's even watching this right now, we can say all we want, and we can come, people can come up here and tell you that you should say something about the threats. I didn't hear one threat, but I did hear racism tonight, and nobody said anything about that. So I hope that you guys will please just try to help all of us want to be a part of this city. I want to keep believing in all of you. Like I said before, I voted for each of you. It's not a threat to say that we want to continue to want to vote for you and to want to be a part of all the amazing things we do. But it's really hard to want to be a part of a city who makes you feel like it doesn't matter that many people are being slaughtered, and your citizens who live in Sterling Heights are here saying that their family members, that they're worried every night. We need something. So I hope you'll consider it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? My name is Nipa, and I'm here today along with many of my fellow human beings. We're all devastated about what's happening in Gaza. And I wanted to come up here and urge you once again in support of, I had it all ready what I wanted to say. But one thing you don't get yourself ready for is the emotions behind all the comments that you hear. So while I collect my thoughts again, I just wanted to say, to come up and urge once again in support of many of us here to please consider a ceasefire resolution so that we know that we have done some work towards peace, that we didn't continue to go sleeping knowing people and children are dying, so that we can tell our children we cared, so that we know even if we have to accept what we cannot control, our souls are not dead and we stood up for what we believed in. And that's what makes America great. We stand up for the weak, we stand up for who doesn't have a voice, and that's what we're doing here today. We appreciate all your effort you are putting forward to do your due diligence in considering our request, repeated requests. While I understand there's a process to your adoption of a resolution, every slight delay increases the death toll. Passing this resolution may not stop the war, but it moves us forward towards it. If we always believe our small actions will not make a difference, no difference will ever be made. They all start with a small action, and we are making that small action by pouring out our emotions and heart to you. It's not a threat when someone is expressing their feelings, and I hope you don't take it that way. Because when our kids have tantrums, we're not threatened by them, but it's an emotion that they need to release. So if we understand that, we also need to understand one thing is the brother who spoke about peace. He's an attorney. He didn't have an agenda to speak on that today. I thank you for taking the confidence to be here and supporting in peace with us. To the person who is being racist, I hope you do a little fact check because all those things were not correct. If you are concerned about food in America and the poor and the homeless, then worry about the tax dollars that are going to the war. So maybe do more of those research before we're just dropping information that's not correct. I know we all have children, or we have, like other people said, we have family members we cared about. Watching a child, like today, I had to throw away food my kids were not eating. And my heart broke throwing that food away when I knew those little children were dying of starvation. Some are eating animal feed, some are eating grass, and I have a child who didn't finish the food and I had to throw it away. So when we consider a ceasefire resolution, we're thinking I can't end the war, but we can make a difference. And in America, our belief is that every person can make a difference. And I know you took an oath to be our council members, to represent your community. You know the emotions behind how we feel and what we would want. Other cities have done it. We know Sterling Heights can do it also. I believe that you guys have the power to make a decision to be on the right side of having a ceasefire, willing to be coming towards peace and not violence. So thank you so much.
Anyone else on my left side?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Saeed Hussein. I'm here to ask for the same request as everyone else. Please adopt a ceasefire resolution, even if you don't think you can stop the war. You don't think the resolution you pass will have an impact on ceasefire. It'll help relieve the mental struggle your local citizens are going through and coming and pleading for. Some folks are standing here and crying. I don't know what else they can do. Usually people, when they feel that they're not being heard at all, that's when tears flow. That's probably the worst anyone can do when they're asking for something. And if President Biden dumping so much food in Gaza and being so caring for the people of Palestine to save the Gazans, why is it so hard for us to pass a local resolution if we truly believe in that? With the U.S. soldier lighting up himself on fire and asking for free Palestine, why is it so hard for us to do this here locally? Thank you for our neighbors also. I know my wife just spoke and she mentioned the same thing, but I wanted to also thank them. Thank you for the neighbors who spoke here and feels for a passion for those speaking here and requesting for the ceasefire. We appreciate you. We feel welcome around you. You do represent the true values of an American. You do encourage us to also be an American, regardless of how we look or where we come from or what we ask for when we stand here. In the words of our neighbors who spoke, who has no families in Palestine nor has any interest in being here to support this cause, I want to repeat that please do something in support of a ceasefire, allow people to have this dialogue. This is what makes America a true America. So thank you. Please consider that.
Anyone else on my left?
Hi, my name is Bruce Houston, and I was watching the city council meeting from last week, and I see that by the end of that, they had said, please have a representative represent all your talking points, instead of having, 50 people come up here and talk about the same thing. And I'm just here to say that the city council represents all of Sterling Heights, not a minority group that is here in mass, to push their agenda. And so I'm just here to give voice against any kind of resolution, whether it's be for Ukraine or for Palestine, because this venue is for the city. It's a state and local venue to get things done locally. We have a State Department and a president that takes care of foreign policy. This is not a foreign policy venue. And this city council has to represent all the people and not pass resolutions because of people showing up at the council meeting, forcing their views that they want something done. Now, if you want to learn about how government works here in America, it's a republic, not a democracy, where, you get a majority of people in a spot and they can have their way. A republic puts a stop to that, so they have to represent the full region. And so nobody likes war. There is never going to be the sea to the river, Palestine. It's always been Jewish. They've defeated the Canaanites, and then they lost to the Romans, okay? Then the Romans named it Palestine. And it was still Christian-owned after that for 500 years, until Islam in 700 AD made war and took over, the Christian areas.
Listen, I mean, I don't
Anyway.
know, why do I do this every meeting? Why do I do this every meeting?
Hey, you
No,
just made me,
listen,
you just made me
stop.
sit a whole hour.
Okay, your time is held. Ma'am, take her out. She's gonna go. She's gonna go. I mean, look, these are difficult conversations, and you guys are pretty mature about it, and pretty calm, and pretty reasonable about it, but for God's sake, I mean, you're all adults. If you haven't lived in the world yet where there are people who disagree with you, I don't know what to say. There are gonna be people who disagree with you. There are gonna be people who disagree with you on major issues. You can think that a genocide is happening, and somebody else can think it's a justified attempt to defend themselves. And if that's something that you struggle with, and I'm sorry, you're going to struggle the rest of your life. Go ahead.
That's, so this isn't a venue for this anyway. So I'm for the city council to do city business and stay out of foreign affairs. So thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. I already had you, sir. Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet? Okay, we'll close that portion, go on to reports from city administration. Mr. Vanderpool, anything tonight?
Nothing further,
Mr.
Mayor.
Koszybski?
Yes, Mayor, we have one item for closed session.
One item for closed session. Okay, council, any reports, new business, unfinished business? Mr. Yanez?
Okay, I have several things, and I'll try to make them quick. So through the chair to city administration, do we have a process yet for opting out of the new refuse carts that we're going to get, whether it's the refuse cart or the recycling bin?
Mr. Vanderpool?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yanez, there is not an opt-out process for the universal recycling program.
So, okay, because I think in a previous meeting, we had a number of people mention that they didn't want the recycling bin. I think we told them that we were working on an opt-out program, and so now we are not. Okay, so we're not going to, okay, well, I just need to know when people call me what to tell them. And I'm getting plenty of calls about opting out. So if there isn't going to be an opt-out program, fine. That's what I'll tell them. Also, through the chair of city administration, do we keep track of rental properties that are residential homes?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yanes, yes, we do.
Can you tell me, or can you give me the information on how many residential properties are, how many residential homes are rental properties?
Councilman Yanes, a rough estimate would be approximately 2,000.
Okay. Sorry. I do want to say that I worked the election last week. It's the first time I've ever worked the election. As an election inspector, I want to say that it was a great experience. The city clerk's team does a fabulous job. The people I worked with were very conscientious. None of us had ever met before. It is a long day, but it was very fulfilling. I got a real inside look at how elections are run. It was a great experience. And I encourage anybody who has any interest to sign up. I went to a meeting last night. There's a big problem with the diversity of our county to get people of other parties. So when you have an area where they're mostly Democrats, they're having a hard time getting Republicans to sit in, and vice versa, where it's mostly Republican, they're having a hard time getting Democrats. So if you really believe in democracy, I would highly encourage you to, did I take away, Madam Clerk, did I take away any of potential workers by saying that, giving them to the county? You don't have to answer that. But yes, the county is looking for a more diverse group of people so we can have an even number of Republicans and Democrats working at the same polling location. All of us, council members, all of us got an email from the city attorney reminding us of some of our council rules. In my discussion with the city attorney, he reminded me that it is up to us to enforce our own rules. So we need to keep that in mind. I asked the city attorney to share that email with everybody, so we were all on the same page about that one particular issue. And I would also like, without objection, I would like the city attorney to review our council rules so we may amend any rules that need to be updated to reflect best practices. Without objection.
Well, I mean, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Like what, that's not, I don't know what that direction is. I mean, in Mark's, Mr. Koszubski's determination of what best practices are? I mean, what does that mean?
Okay.
Who gets to determine what best
Okay,
practices
so-
are for council rules?
Thank you. So I actually got that from the city attorney. So.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I don't mean to throw it in the bus.
paraphrased.
Hey, okay,
you got some rules for us,
whatever.
Mark?
Look, we've tasked the city attorney to update our charter to make it non-generic, right? And so in the discussion about the council rules, I guess, so we had a discussion about electronic devices. That electronic device rule was written before the proliferation of cell phones, iPads, and so forth. We just want to make sure that our council rules match the times. That's all.
I mean, I guess are you talking specifically about the use of electronic devices at the council meetings?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have a problem with the administration and legal going and, doing a little bit of research and finding out what other communities do and then reporting back. It sounded to me like you wanted him to rewrite the.
No.
Okay.
No, that is not the case, but we do have, we have some rules that have probably been around for a while and need a little dusting off, that's all.
I don't have any objection. And anybody else?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I didn't think that was going to be controversial. Got a little tight there for a second, but we're all fine.
But you didn't explain.
I did not explain it very well, sorry.
No.
And to further that, I just threw the chair to the city attorney. Do you have any update on how we're moving forward with updating the charter language?
Mr. Koszubski.
So I know Councilman Yanez, you brought up going to, through the charter to make pronouns more neutral. I did send a memo to council about the possibility of doing such a thing. There hasn't been any resolution by council to do so. However, other communities have updated their charters to either state a position or a generic pronoun. And we can look at that further. I have not gotten direction from council to move forward with that yet. But I'm waiting for the decision on how to move forward on that.
So then I'm going to, without objection, I'm going to ask the city attorney to review and update the pronouns of our city charter.
Mr. Mayor.
There we go.
Yeah, let me take it.
Okay.
So just to put you on pause, Mr. Yanez, and I'd like to get some clarification. Can the city council make administrative changes to the charter, or would that be something that needs to be voted on? And I mean, for the people who can't see you nodding your head, yes. Okay, so this is something that needs to be voted on by the people, right?
Yes, Mayor, it would be a charter amendment.
And is it a charter amendment? I mean, can you do one charter amendment that says we're going to change all of the gendered language to something more neutral and just, you know, have it one question? Or do we need to amend every single provision of the charter where it's, I mean, because I would think we've got to go in and you got to say, we're going to take he out here and we're going to put he or she in there, or whatever it is that we're going to be changing it to, right?
Sure. So just to give you a little bit of background, other communities have done this where they've, instead of using he or she when referring to the city clerk, for example, it would be the city clerk throughout, as opposed to using plural pronouns or he, she, which has been done in other communities. It can be done with one ballot question, but you have to provide a complete copy of the revised charter in the backup of that ballot question.
It would just be a 50-word statement on the ballot, correct? Or
100, but yes.
Whatever the word, yeah, sorry, 100 words on the ballot.
Okay.
And you were asking for if there was no objection from council for this?
Well, you'd need 5 people to put it on the ballot once it's written. You have to vote affirmatively to put it on the ballot.
I mean, we can leave it as it is.
I just think it's a lot
doesn't
of,
bother me.
it just is unnecessary, I think, at
Okay,
this time.
well,
That's my view.
Mr. Mayor,
Hold on.
you
All right,
interrupted
let's
me.
try to keep some order here. If anybody has objection, let's take them one by one, okay? Mrs. Sarowski, have you,
I think it's unnecessary.
okay, Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no objection to this amendment, but I think we need to really think hard about when we're going to put on the ballot, and if we're going to force a question on it. And maybe if we were to put on the ballot, we should put it on with some other things, not as a standalone question, because I think it might be confusing to the residents. We'd have to explain it why we're doing it. And I fully support doing it. It's just a matter of, it's going to be expensive and time-consuming over language that we should change, but maybe should be changed at another time, I guess is what I would say.
Counselor, are there any other objections?
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt.
I have to say, from someone who is probably discriminated against in our charter, I have no problem with the way it's written. I think we can put our energy and our time and our money to something that is more significant at this time. That's my feeling.
Okay, counsel, anybody else who would like to speak? Mrs. Arco.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. It would be nice if this could be changed. However, I don't think now is the time. That's all I have to say. I think it's a lot of work, and I really think that there's a lot of other things that are coming up that we're going to have to concentrate on that are going to be, you know, more important, because we can still function with the way the charter is written right now. And there might be other, you know, issues that come up that we're going to have to work on hard because we can't function that way anymore. So that's how I feel. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Koszubski, would this require the vote of 5 council members to put it on the ballot?
Yes, it would.
Okay, we have 3 objections, so I think we have clear direction, which can be changed at a later date, but as for now, that's where we are. Okay, Mr. Yen, has anything else?
Yep, still got a couple other things here. Just so my colleagues on council know, Ms. Orduño, correct? Ms. Orduño had mentioned that there is a letter going around of elected officials that signed on in support of those bills. I have signed on to that letter, and I just want to let you all know that publicly. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about the fire that happened last night in Clinton Township. It was, if anybody saw it, it was pretty miraculous. I was in awe of what I was watching from my backyard. And it's incredibly tragic that a 19-year-old man with his life in front of him lost his life standing a quarter mile away from the site and getting hit with a projectile. This comes about because people do unsafe things. These people who own this building did an incredibly unsafe thing. And it's our job as a municipality to make sure that we promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. The one thing that we don't do in the city is general inspections, general fire inspections. We haven't done them in years. I've brought up many times the building that was that got hit by a truck and a illegal marijuana grow operation was exposed. We didn't know it was there till the truck hit it. How many buildings do we have in this city that are just like what's going on in Clinton Township? And we never go in them. We do not do inspections. And we've tried to cheapen how we do inspections. We have to start doing inspections for the life, health, and safety of our people. We don't want a 19-year-old young man with his life in front of him dying because a building catches on fire and there's illegal storage. We have budget coming up. We have contract with the firefighters coming up. We have the ability to make sure that we're doing general inspections, general fire inspections, not by a part-time code enforcement person, or not a self-inspection by the business owner, or not our building inspector, but people who understand fire load, who understand how fire works, how fire systems work, what the danger of a certain kind of fire load inside a building, how that can affect whether a fire system can even put a fire out. So I ask my colleagues to please consider, when we get to budget and we get to the contract negotiations with the firefighters, to consider hiring 2 more people to do general fire inspections. I don't know what I would do. I don't know how we would act if what happened last night happens here in Sterling Heights and somebody dies. And heaven forbid, it was bad enough it was a civilian, heaven forbid it was one of our firefighters. So please give that consideration. We can't allow that to happen here. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yanez. Anybody else, council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
a couple things. I wanted to echo Mr. Mazer about the cultural exchange on Friday. I know that we're going to have a visit from the rover for the draft. It's going to be out front presenting, amongst some other things, to kind of start the process of the NFL draft. As all of my colleagues know, and I'm sure many people at home know, the cultural exchange is one of the best events of the year. You get to see all the people who live in Sterling Heights and their distinct cultures. And they do dance performances, and there's usually some treats. It's always a great time, and you really can interact with the city. I'd urge you all to come. It's a wonderful experience. A little bit more, I wanted to talk briefly about recycling and refuse and some of the messages we've been receiving. We sent out a postcard, which I think was pretty well received in the community, and I want to commend the city administration for putting it in multiple languages to make sure that all of our residents really know what's going on. And some people have pushed back against this. Why are we putting it in multiple languages? At the end of the day, we want people to take out their trash properly. I think that's a shared goal we all have. So if we can communicate in the way that makes the most sense to people, let's do that. And I want to commend the city for doing that. More than that, I just want to say this. And I voted against the contract, but the contract is here. And change can be hard, but it's going to be good. Every city around us uses mechanical carts. We're going to go to that system. There will no longer be trash placed on the street. And I drove around my neighborhood last week, and those bags were ripped up by animals. Trash was in the street. In 2019, this council actually, through a motion, debated whether we should go to hard-sided cans. And at that time, we actually held in abeyance that for the new garbage contract. We didn't want to make people rush out and buy garbage cans at a cost to themselves if in the new contract, we could somehow get these cans as part of the contract. So the time is here, and this is going to be enforced. I had a guy yell at me on the phone yesterday. He called me up and said, well, I'm going to cut up my recycle cart and toss it in the street. Okay. At the end of the day, you get a recycling cart, you get a trash cart. If you have a Sterling Heights trash cart that says Sterling Heights on the side and is green, you can continue to use that. Or you can mark it for yard waste and use it as yard waste. But we will not be taking hard-sided cans, we will not be taking trash on the street. This is for everyone's benefit, trust me. It's a long-term concern of mine, getting the trash off the street. It's for the health and safety, prevents rodents, prevents trash from getting out in the neighborhood. It's going to be one of those things that a year from now or 2 years from now, you're going to go, I can't believe we used to do it the old way, because this way is way better. But with any significant change, you get pushback from folks. So I'd urge folks to keep an open mind, to use the trash carts, to recycle if you can. And people who tell me they can't recycle or they won't recycle, I never understood this. Recycling isn't hard. I got my father, who's a 74-year-old Vietnam veteran, to start recycling in Sterling Heights. When you make it easy, you give them the cart, they have it there available. You'll be surprised what you do when it's available. So we're not changing the paradigm. The trash will get picked up normally, but we're just changing the way it's picked up. And it's going to be better for everyone, trust me. But there's a lot of angst about this, and I think it's just angst what happens with any change, any kind of thing we do in the city that's different from before. And it'll shake out, it'll be fine. I briefly wanted to talk about water affordability, and through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I know that we have spoken with Senator Chang and the bill writers about various changes and some situations in Macomb County. Have we interfaced with them at all more and have heard anything about the bill or any changes that might take place with the bill?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Radke, we've had a couple of meetings with Senator Chang, Zoom meetings that is. We expressed some of our concern with the legislation. At the same time, we provided them good data in terms of the number of our residents that are at the poverty level in our city, approximately 10,000 people. We gave them information on the number of people that are currently in the RAP program, which is a relatively low number compared to the number of people that are SEMCOG has listed at the poverty level. So we think that's an issue of the need for more public education with respect to that program. There certainly appears to be a demand in the city for water affordability. So we've shared as much information as we can. We've conveyed some ideas that we think Senator Chang and her team should consider with the potential modified language coming up. I know that the Michigan Municipal League has also not taken a position on this issue yet. So we feel the most prudent course is to continue to share information, provide additional ideas, and continue to represent our ratepayers and those who are in some form of distress with water affordability the best we can.
Well, you made my next point for me, Mr. Vanderpool, and I was going to say that by not taking a position on this, it has allowed us to negotiate with the senator and hopefully make a better bill. Because if they're going to pass it, they're going to pass it. But let's try to see what we can do to improve the bill for both the residents of Sterling Heights and the community at large. And that's all I have right now, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else?
Mayor Taylor. Thank you. I guess I'll get back onto the recycle bin kick with everybody else has been talking about it. Through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I guess my thought is you have residents in the city that will never, ever recycle.
And that's a cold, hard fact. And why should they be forced to take a recycle bin that they will never use?
Oh, Mr. Vanderpool, and what is stopping the resident from just giving it back to Priority?
Well, that's a good point. So thank you, Mayor. And Councilwoman Schmidt, let me clarify my earlier statement. If a resident chooses to not accept the recycling cart, that's fine. You know, there's no way to have them opt out and not pay because it's all part of the refuse millage. So there's no way to carve an individual or multiple individuals out like that. But if they don't want a card and don't want to participate, that's fine too. So, I mean, we're happy to take those names and numbers and contacts and coordinate with Priority and make sure that a recycling card is not dropped off at their address.
Okay, because I think there's a miscommunication there. I think people are feeling they're forced to take these cards when they're really not being forced to take it. However, they're not going to get a cut on the rate.
That's correct.
So I think as long as we relay that message, then people don't feel like I'm never, and it's unfortunate that people don't recycle. I'm a recycler. However, there are some people that will never do it, and that's just the way it is. So I think if they know that they can refuse to have that cart, not going to change their rate, I think that will calm a few waves in the pool too. And not that we're discouraging people from recycling by doing that, but there are some people that will never recycle. Also, through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I was driving on Mound the other night, and the lights on Mound north of 19, between 19 and what would probably be 19 and a half, in the evening are flickering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very distracting. At first I thought it was, you know, the power lines that were blocking it, you know, as you were driving. It's not. They're flickering. And also the stretch from 17 to 18 was totally out. It was totally dark. So we do have some light outages on Mound. If we could have those checked out, I would appreciate it. The cultural exchange was mentioned earlier. That is my favorite night of the year. Mrs. Zarko has her strategic planning meeting. That's her favorite night of the year. The cultural exchange is my favorite night of the year. It gives us an opportunity to find out the differences, but how much we are more alike than different. And that's why I enjoy that evening, and I welcome everybody to come to the Community Center Friday, starting at 6 o'clock. And with that, I'm sorry, through the chair also to Mr. Vanderpool, when is the first day of yard pickup?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. That's the hardest question of the evening. I believe it's April 1st, but I'll confirm that and get back to council and make sure we're pushing out that information.
Because the way it's been going, we need to cut our
Yeah,
grass.
we need to do it sooner. Mine's full right now.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else? Ms. Skoski.
Thank you. I would like to say that I agree with Mr. Yanis. I watched the fire last night on the news. And what surprised me is Mr. Cannon, when he did his little speech and he was talking about the building and the fire, and he said, if we would have inspected this building, we would have found all the hazards, the violations that they had, but we didn't do it. So I think that's a message that was sent to us. We better reinforce our inspectors and make sure that we start inspecting our buildings again so that we don't face the same problem that Clinton Township did, because that was pretty devastating. I thought it was thundering. We were going to have a rainstorm, and when I opened the window, I knew it wasn't rain. So I don't want that to happen in Sterling Heights. So please, Mr. Vanderpool, when you do the budget, take a good look at those inspectors and see what you can do about that. Another thing about the budget, it's coming up next month. we'll get the books on my birthday, I'm assuming. And I would like to know what our millage increases were for the last 15 years. If you could send us a memo sometime this month. I'm trying to remember the first one that we got was somewhere around 2008 when we were going into our depression. And if I remember correctly, we said to the residents, this is going to help us get through this hard time. And once we get back on track again, we will give that millage back to you. And I think maybe we might have gotten back on track because I got my property notice the other day. And my assessed value went up 19,900. And I always remember that our millage is on our taxable value. So this little sheet of paper is telling me to expect my taxes to go up at least $217. So maybe we could take a look at our millage and see if we can give that back to the residents of Sterling Heights. If you do that for us, and then it will help us review the budget. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Well, there you go, Mr. Vanderpool. I think.
Hire more and cut the budget.
Have you? So just remove about 4 mills from the budget and.
Hire more inspectors.
Council, anyone else?
Barb, do you want to go?
You can go ahead.
Oh, okay, well, mine's going to be a doozy.
Okay, well, then I'll go.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to recycling bins. I know that people don't recycle now. I mean, they're not going to. But given the opportunity, I'm going to tell you, all you have to do is throw cardboard and paper in that to recycle, and you've accomplished something.
Yep.
So, to me, you know, if somebody wants to opt out, they're still going to pay for it. But I think let's educate, we're doing this educational program. And you're going to find out that by recycling and using that bin, you are going to be throwing out less trash for the people that are not recycling now. So I think that, you should give that an opportunity. I really think that's what we should do. And they're paying for it. If they decide they don't want it after 6 months, then we pick up the cart. But they're going to pay for it one way or another, so let's hopefully somebody will use it. Okay, a couple other things that we've talked about, the water assistance, and that we're meeting with Senator Chang. What I would really like for us to talk to her about is I actually have a picture of the state budget in 2019 that had a line item in it for future water assistance. And I think that is more palatable to people if they're going to help somebody pay their water bill than to have it tacked onto their monthly bill. So if we could talk to her and find out what happened to that, and if you want me to share the picture, I can certainly give it to you, but I know somebody that was working on water assistance back in 2019, it was actually a line item in the state budget. Let's see, I also worked Election Day, and I have to tell you, I was really proud to do it, but the system that we have in Sterling Heights is amazing. And I worked with a great group of people. Everybody was willing to help one another so that it was fluid. We, always had somebody that we could ask a question, and we stopped things until, we could get the answer. So I was really proud of the fact to work there, but just as proud of the system that we have that gives us a great opportunity that know that we do a good job here. And a lot of what we do here was actually on the ballot proposal that is now being used throughout the state. So I think that's exciting. We talked about reviewing some of the council procedures. I think it would be a good idea for all of us to review them. And then if any of us see something that we think that needs a change, that we could bring it up at another time. But for right now, just to work on what we decided on tonight, and that would be electronics. But I'm sure there's something else there that needs to be updated, but, you know, if we could just all look at that. And I know that we'd have to watch the Open Meetings Act, but is there a way that we could sit down and actually discuss those among ourselves through the chair, through Mr. Koszewski? I mean, is there a way that we could sit down, discuss them, actually learn for them, or actually have a program that, you know, of some sort, or workshop that we all sit down and we listen to what these procedures are and we should be following them?
Mr. Koszewski.
So we could do a training session with council on the rules that are currently in place, if that's what you were asking. As for deliberating on changes, you'd have to do that in an open meeting.
Okay. All right. Okay, then there was discussion about fire inspectors. We all think this is a good idea, and we don't have the money to do it. But I'd really like to see some of our retired firefighters, either whether they be from Sterling Heights or from another community, have the opportunity to have those positions so that they could help us with those inspections. And that's my personal feeling. We hire back our police officers so that they can do code enforcement, that this is just another opportunity to bring back somebody that's familiar with the city, the way things are done, train these, if they have to be trained again or whatever, we could make sure that they're trained again, but to bring back retired personnel. And see everybody at the cultural exchange, because it is a good night, and how better to get together than to share food. So see you on Friday, and that's it.
Okay, Mrs. Sarowski.
Yep, all right, thank you. So, put on your seatbelts. Okay, so today, started my day at 4 o'clock this morning. Got to work very, very early. And those of you that don't know this, I take care of retired Jesuit priests. I'm their director of nursing. And my favorite priest, who has been in the process of dying and been telling me he's going to go, tomorrow morning I'll be gone. Woke up in the morning. Tomorrow morning I'll be gone. Woke up in the morning. Tomorrow morning I'm going to be gone. Did not wake up this morning. God bless this man. He worked in the Appalachians. He was building schools with his bare hands, digging trenches, literally worked with Ralph Nader to serve the underserved. And he was a true saint among humans. He is and was a true human being. Truly just a human being. He didn't care who you were, what color you were, how big you were, how tall you were, black, white, green, woman, child, man, didn't matter. You were a saint in his eyes, a God-given person, and you were of value. And when he left this earth this morning, and I bathed his body and wrapped him up for the funeral home to bring him, to take him, that was a profound moment for me. I do this a lot. We bathe every person that passes and make sure that they're clean and ready to be taken to the funeral home. And I do this for most of the men. And that today, I knew that I was having a council meeting today, and that I said, Liz, it's time to get brave. This man was a brave man. You're going to be a brave person today. So I've been debating on how I'm going to handle this and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say and what we need to do. And I've talked to some people in the audience, the group here, and I said that I'm going to make, I've been herding cats is what I've called it, and I need to, we were unable, I'm going to be honest with you, we were unable to get the federal representatives together that we wanted to speak to you. And Mr. Smith was right. Mrs. McLean and Mr. James were they do support Israel because that is what our government does, and they're good people. I love Miss Lisa McLean. She is a good woman. So is John James, a great guy. They are good people, and they do have our government and our state interests at heart. Sometimes, though, what our government does isn't always correct in the best interest of human nature, but we have we have policies and procedures and treaties we have to abide by. So they have to abide by what they already, that's the treaty, they have to go with it. So they were not able to commit to coming to see you guys. So we couldn't get that accomplished. So, and neither were our other state or US reps. So we were not able to get that accomplished for you guys. So based on that, and knowing that what our government is trying to do, yes, we're dropping food for the hungry. And yes, our vice president at a speaking engagement has called for the ceasefire, but not in a specific letter to the Israeli government and Hamas for a ceasefire. It's not quite the same thing, and we know that. But it's getting there, but it's not there yet. I understand that. And food trucks that drive in to Gaza, people are being shot and killed. As soon as the people swarm, the kids swarm, they're fodder, gun fodder. And that's heartbreaking. Peace is so important in the world. We were the first. We were definitely the first. My husband is mostly Polish. He's a half Italian, half Polak, but in my world, he's mostly Polish. Got to live with the man. But some of his family members think that he's also Ukrainian because of where the borders continue to go back and forth. And some of our very, 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 very dearest friends, the Fedorics, are 100% Ukrainian. And they called me immediately and said, can we please get a flag going? I've been flying a Ukrainian flag in front of my house since the day we could have. Yes, to compare what's happening in Ukraine and Israel, Gaza, it's not quite the same, and I know it sometimes feels that way, but Russia has always been the big bad enemy. It's easy for Americans to look at Russia and go, yeah, they're the big bad guys. We're always going to be for Ukraine. Israel, Gaza, it's a little more nebulous, and that's hard for us. But killing is killing, and violence is violence. So in good faith and support for our hurting residents, without objection from council, I would like to request for our city leadership and our council, if we could draw up language, if they could present language for a resolution for us to debate, a resolution to state and for us to discuss peace and justice, or for peace, for us to have a resolution for peace, for peace and an end to violence in the Middle East, if I do not have objection from council. Is that possible?
Do you need more direction? I mean, I'm prepared to vote right now. I vote yes. I want peace in the Middle East. Everybody agree? And I would
Well,
say we can
and a
vote right now. I
resolution
want
stating
peace
we
in
want
the Middle
peace
East. I
and an
think
end.
so I guess
Yes.
my point is to be more direct.
Peace and
Are
an
you
end to violence.
Going to give Mr. Koszybski or Mr. Vanderpool a resolution?
Sample.
Do you have a sample? Do you
He
want
has
them to
samples.
prepare something?
I would like them to prepare language that we can debate. He has samples from other cities that he can use as, to bring us some
Who
language.
do you want to do that?
Our city attorney.
I don't know, this to me seems like an issue that I don't want to give Mr. Koszybski, punt to Mr. Koszybski and say, go figure out something and bring it back to us so that we can debate it. If a council member has a sample resolution, if council member has specific points that want to be in it, I'm happy to entertain that, but I don't know, I mean, I'm not on board with just saying to Mr. Koszybski, propose something for me to vote on. I'm not.
So can I, through the chair to Mr. Koszybski, would you be prepared if you brought us, could you bring us a resolution that combined Dearborn's and Warren's and brought us some examples that we could then debate?
I mean, I'm sure he can do that.
I'm asking him.
Mr. Koszybski.
I'm more than happy to provide you with the resolutions from the various municipalities that have passed them for you in a packet and an update for you. And at that point, council could do what they want with those packets.
In the past, through the chair to Mr. Koszybski, in the past, have we ever drawn up our own resolution, or have you drawn up resolutions and presented them to us before?
I've written whole ordinances, but Mr. Kaschubski.
I'm not for council, you have not.
Yes, I have. Go ahead.
To answer the question, Councilwoman Sarowski, yes, we've written up resolutions that have had clear direction on what was going to be asked of us to put into them. As opposed, and many of them we brought forward based on specific clauses. For example, the ones that were brought tonight. We've had groups that have brought forward the ones that we've looked at and kind of massaged it to make it our own. The problem here is I don't know what you would like to have in that resolution.
Can I give you some, just my feedback, and maybe it'll help? Is the ordinance going to condemn Hamas? Is the resolution going to condemn Hamas? Is the resolution going to call for the immediate return of hostages? Is the resolution going to condemn Israel for what's going on in the West Bank? Is the resolution going to call, what is the resolution going to say?
Well,
Because
these
that's
are
a
the
big-
things,
that's- That to me,
right.
we can put, I've said it before, we can put some watered down both sides, thing out there. I'm not sure why it would be satisfactory to anybody, but we could do that.
So you would rather have
No, I'm
something
saying-
extremely inflammatory, or
No,
you would
I'm-
like to have a resolution that's calling for peace?
I don't
It's
want,
calling
I
for-
don't want any resolution. You're the one that's asking. I'm saying, what is the resolution going to include? And can you give him, from my standpoint, if you can give him some direction, whether it's going to be very watered down, whether it's going to be viewed by people as pro-Israeli, viewed by people as
Why does it have to be pro either?
I'm not saying it does. It doesn't have to. I'm saying there are many different options for what kind of resolution.
What did our resolution say for Ukraine?
We pass a Ukrainian resolution? I don't just recall doing that. I don't think we did. I'm just saying as a suggestion, that if you want me to weigh in and say potentially, yeah, bring it forward to debate it in 2 weeks, I want to know what they're bringing forward. Because if they're bringing forward something that's going to be dead on arrival for me, then I would say no.
Well, it sounds like everything's going to be dead on arrival for you,
Not
so I'm going to go
necessarily.
over your head, or go around you, excuse me, and just try to find something that's palatable for others. So, at this point, so why don't we just ask for,
Come on, Paul. Turn it off. Open the phone, Paul, and then close it.
I didn't know flip phones could do that. That's,
it's not a flip phone.
Yeah, I think that's his problem. We don't have clear direction for what he's supposed to bring back. So you still have the floor, and if you want to give direction to him, and then everybody else can weigh in.
So a resolution usually has quite a few lines. You want me to list all the lines?
No, I would say give him as much clarity as you possibly can. Or not. I'm telling you what it would take to get my support. The other 5 might have a different feeling.
Well, I'm not asking for your support. I'm asking him what he needs for direction.
Mr. Koszybski.
I can't give council direction on direction I need.
Direction on direction?
So you're asking me to put together a resolution. I need to know what you would like inside it so that everyone can have an opportunity to.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to pull Warren's resolution that I've read and try to do something quite similar to that.
Okay, that's pretty clear.
Okay.
I don't know what Warren's resolution says, but council, is there anybody have any objection to that? Once, and twice, 3 times. Okay, well then even with or without my support, that's enough. Okay. When do you want it?
Let's say 4 weeks. That'll give you time to get it done. They'll give the council people can even pull up Warren's if you'd like to see what it looks like, and then you can decide if that's something that looks palatable or not. Okay.
Direction. Thank you.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Mayor,
Mrs. Konski.
Could we have a copy of Warren's ahead of time?
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah, I
saying,
mean,
yeah.
I'm going to Google it as soon as I get home. I'm sorry.
I will provide that as part of the backup.
Thank you.
That way we can review it and have some idea, some suggestions that we might want to make.
I'd Google it right now, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to use my electronic.
You can do research, you can do research. You can do research.
So now we know you don't read the city
Yeah,
attorney's
you can do
emails. Very good.
research.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
I'm going to text Mrs. Sarowski and ask her for a copy.
just a suggestion, maybe Mr. Vanderpool could stick it in with our Thursday newsletter.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And maybe some other examples, resolutions other cities have passed too.
Yeah.
What my suggestion would be.
Okay.
Happy to provide as many as I can.
Mrs. Sarowski, you still have the floor.
So thank you, Mayor Taylor. And then, yes, I just also want to say, look forward to seeing you all at the cultural exchange, and look for all those young men running for judge, and vote for the one who has the same last, or sign the petition with the one that says my last name. That's all I have.
That's out of order.
Way out of order. Way out, cross the line, cross the line.
I'm just kidding. But
She was just kidding.
I was just kidding. But those that are, there's two young men, and you can sign all their petitions, so that'll be fine.
You can only sign
You
one.
can only sign one.
So don't sign any.
Let's just
Just
ignore
kidding.
that last minute of.
Strike that from the record.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's it. I'll see you all
Mr.
there.
Mayor.
Have a good night.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Yanis.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I need to take a second bite of the apple here real quick. I just want to clarify, so if somebody doesn't want their recycling card, no, seriously, you said call the office. I mean, do you want them to call administrative office? Do you want to give them like Ms. Ahern's number, or do you want to come up with a plan and let us know? I just want to let these people know who call me, call this number, if that's what we want to do.
If we've made the
Through the
decision.
chair,
Look, I think people are pretty resourceful, you know?
well, that's.
I don't know, if I have things I don't want, I get rid of them.
We got customer
That
service, the
happens
city
a lot.
manager just said have them call the office, so that's.
Mr. Vanderpool, do you have any,
Jesus.
do you want, how about this? Given Mr. Yanis's concern, it's legitimate, do you think you can reach out to Priority, talk to them, and report back before the next council meeting with some direction about, I mean, this has to have come up in other communities.
What they've done.
So why don't we find out what Priority does in other communities and report back, and then we'll have clear.
Thank you.
And that'll give us, I mean, we're back in 2 weeks, and then that'll be about 45 days before the contract starts, right? Okay, is that fair?
Very good, thank you very much. Real quick again, could we create an ad hoc committee to review council rules?
We cannot create ad hoc committees.
We cannot.
Against our rules.
Well, there you go. We gotta fix those rules. Therefore, we
Well,
should
it's
have an
part of
ad
the
hoc
charter,
committee.
so they would have to.
We need to fix our own
It's part of
rules.
the charter, yeah.
We pay attention to them.
All right, Mr. Yanis.
And
has
then
the
last,
floor.
but not least, through the chair to city administration, I just want to let you know, there's a number of temporary signs around the city that look horrible. I can't believe that they actually got a permit to put their temporary signs up. I mean, they're all flopped all over the place. They look terrible. If we could pay a little more attention to that. I mean, there's several just on Van Dyke between 17 and 18 Mile Road. They're all over the city. They look bad. It'd be great to know that somebody actually pulled a permit for those temporary signs and we make them look at least nice. That's all. Now, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I just want to, once again, thank everybody for coming out. A couple of things. I guess in the terms of, I mean, do you feel like you still have clear direction on what to do with the electronic policy? I mean, Mr. Yen has brought up a couple of different things. Here's, I guess, my feeling. It feels like if I text a council member up here about something that's being discussed, feels dirty, feels wrong, feels like it's not appropriate. Well, we pass notes all the time. Pass notes all the time.
Handwritten.
Handwritten notes. What's the difference? What's the difference? It's me writing something down, putting it in writing, showing it to you, you reading it. I mean, there's no difference between those types of communication. Like if if you send a text message to somebody and they say, well, why are you messaging that person? It's like, well, I didn't send them a note. Well, what's the difference? You're texting, you're sending notes. So to me, I guess I would like to know through this examination of the rules, I would like there to be a very clear understanding of why whatever is being prohibited or proposed to be prohibited as part of our rules is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. And if that can be articulated, then I would support it. And I guess that's the one thing I wanted to say on that. A couple people came up and asked me questions specifically. I think they're still here in the audience. Some of these questions have been asked. Some of these questions have been answered. You know, the issue with how long it takes to make a resolution, making law is different in every circumstance. You know, sometimes laws can get passed in a matter of a couple of days. Sometimes laws take years and years. Sometimes laws take decades. Sometimes laws take centuries. So, you know, this is the process, and we're all human beings. We have complicated feelings about this topic. I think one of the things that might be difficult for you folks to understand is that when you come here, there's pretty much unanimous support among you. And it gives a false sense that there's unanimous support in the community as well. And I remember a law school professor who asked a question to our very, somewhat pretty liberal law school class. And, and it was like everybody's hands shot up about this question. And maybe one or two students, their hands didn't shoot up. And the law professor says, well, I mean, what do you think to this student about why do you think there's 98% are in support of this and there's 2% that are not in support of it? And I said, well, because you're talking to a liberal law school class. Go ask this question at a church in Grand Rapids, and you're going to have 98% of the hands go up in the opposite direction. That doesn't mean that the church in Grand Rapids is right and the law school in Detroit is wrong, and it doesn't mean the law school in Detroit is right and the church in Grand Rapids is wrong. Is that when you group with other similar-minded people, you're going to feel like you all, there's this sense that you're all together and you all must be right. One of the things I heard a couple of times tonight that's really troubling to me, really deeply disturbing to me tonight is, God takes sides and so should we. God takes sides and so should we. Do what we want or we will vote you out. We're here because God wants us. When you have God on your side, when you believe that you're not just a human being with human emotions and human frailties and human errors, that you are actually carrying the word of God, the most powerful, most divine, then you are capable of doing absolutely anything you want. You no longer have to consider what the other person is thinking. You no longer have to consider their perspective. You don't have to consider their priorities. You don't have to consider anything. You really don't. Because if God is telling you to do this, then you can frankly do anything. And what's so incredible to me is that you have Jews in Israel who believe God is on their side. They are a chosen people. This is a chosen land. This was given to them. This is their birthright. And you have Muslims in Palestine who feel the absolute opposite way. The absolute opposite way, that Allah is on their side. So you have people who believe that they're right because the divine is telling them they're right. Frankly, the vast, vast majority of the United States of America, they don't worship either of those gods. So they think all of them are wrong. So it's deeply disturbing to me when people come and they say that this is what God wants me to do. Because you might be right. You might be wrong. In my opinion, you're probably wrong. At a minimum, you don't know what God wants you to do. You don't. And when you use God as a justification to come and take any position, Man, you can do some really terrible things with that mentality. So I don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like the tone of some of the people who spoke today. I didn't like the way it went. Look, I'll look at the resolution. It's going to be presented, and I'll give it a fair shake, and I'll see if I can support it. I mean, I don't understand. Let me strike that. I am not in favor of a ceasefire resolution without a clear understanding of what happens next. I mean, it's simple to say, let's have a ceasefire, of course. Who would be opposed to that? Like, nobody on this council wants more people to die needlessly. Nobody. And that's why I've said all along, it's like, do you want us to pass a resolution that says we oppose needless killing? Like, okay, that's really, like, is that going to help any of you? That's going to help to know that I oppose needless killing. Well, you have that. I oppose it. I will vote to say I oppose needless killing. But this is a very complicated issue. And what happens the day after the ceasefire? What happens? Let's say a ceasefire happens. What happens on day 2? Are the hostages returned? Are they? Why aren't they returned right now? Why aren't they returned right now? What is stopping Hamas from returning those hostages right now? What is stopping Hamas from saying, stop killing us? We caused this problem. We're sorry. We made a mistake. Here's your hostages back. What are your terms of peace? Has that happened? I don't know. So while one group went and literally, you talked about a lot of people that voted uncommitted in Sterling Heights, 1,400 people, right? 1,200 people raped, murdered, killed innocent people on October 7th. Another 200 of them taken over as hostages. So if 1,400 people is a lot to vote uncommitted, 1,400 people is a lot to be killed and be taken hostage. Okay? So that's what started this mess. And this has been going on for decades and decades and decades and decades. So as badly as I would love to say, the Palestinians deserve a state, they deserve land, they deserve territory, they should have the right to determine their destiny. And I believe that. The Jewish people, the Israelis, have a right to a state to determine their destiny, to live peacefully. They both have that right. That's not going to happen just because the war temporarily stops. It's not. It's not. And I can't predict the future. I don't know. As awful, as terrible as this war is, as painful as it is to see the images that are happening, what happens on day 2 and on day 3 and on day 4? Is this government in Israel going to stay in power? Is Hamas going to stay in power in Palestine? In Gaza? Because if they are, then we're going to be back here. Might not be tomorrow, might not be in a month, it'll be in a year, it'll be in 2 years, it'll be in 4 years. So to me, to just pass a ceasefire resolution seems to me like the easiest way out possible. I don't like killing. Look, I firmly stood on the right side of history. I'm going to pat myself on the back because I'm on God's side. It's not that simple. It's not that simple, and I think that it lulls us into a false sense of security to just say, pass a ceasefire resolution, and I'll sleep well at night, and I'll know that my city has my best interest at heart. I disagree. Passing a ceasefire resolution is not going to make me feel any better about myself. It's not going to make me feel any better about the world that I live in. It's not going to make me feel any better about the children in Gaza who are being starved to death, who are being killed. It's not going to make me feel any better about the hostages who are living in fear and terror, wondering if they're going to die today, tonight, tomorrow. It's not going to make me feel a damn bit better. So I don't have any interest in it. I have interest in real work. I would entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session.
So moved. Support.
Ms. Riska, can we please have a roll call vote?
Mrs. Yarko?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
Mr. Radke?
Yes.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Kresge?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Yanas?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. We will be adjourning into closed session. We will not be returning tonight. Thank you.